us up. Thanks, mate. The platforms of the Gentlemen Sim Racing Club and a Friday afternoon replay. Friday afternoon motorsport coming to you exclusive and free across Facebook and YouTube. And we are ready to go for, first up, Disruptive Labs GT4 Round 6 action coming to you from the Algarve circuit in Portimão, Portugal. Then on to sprint racing from the GSRC Porsche Cup, and the HockenheimRing in Germany is the venue playing host to that. This week we'll have the opening race from the AM Split, the second race from the Open Split, results from the Elite Split to follow, of course. Good afternoon, everybody. Thursday night motorsport on Friday afternoon, and as live replay for you. Zach Cabe and Adam Lavis here to bring you all the action. The Algarve International Circuit, the venue first up, 4.5 kilometres this circuit for Disruptive Labs GT4. That's the assignment ahead of us. Very Porsche heavy field yet again. Porsche heavy front, 2 rows on this grid. We are on the Grand Prix configuration. Of course, back on the Formula One calendar over the next couple of years is this venue. So we're looking forward to that immensely. 31 degrees, the on-track temp, 22 the ambient, 78% humidity in clear weather conditions at this point in time. Championship points as we venture into this round, and reminding you that we will, of course, have an update on where things sit after this round at the end of the race as well. Paul Wood took a 1-point lead after a very good result last week. A double second, a double fourth for Adam Lavis. They've vaulted up the order to first and second in the order. Craig Bond to third on 2.14, Jordan Malcolm 2.10, Stephen Lawrence 187, and Shane Beaumont 173. Dale Sharp, Justin Kahir, Ryan Jones, and Eduardo Zamora the top 10. And all the regular protagonists on the grid tonight, with the exception of, I didn't see Bondi's name there either, so it looks like the Mustang is missing from the grid, which is unfortunate for him. And we do have a look at that grid for you in just a moment's time, ladies and gentlemen, because we've not yet transitioned across out of the quali server into the race section of the event. There we go now. And Stephen Lawrence has taken a pole position, and it was a very dominant performance from him last week, Adam Lavis. He did the double at the Portland International Raceway in Oregon. Looking forward to seeing what he can do here. The bad news is we've got a full lap roll up here at the Algarve circuit in Portimão, Portugal. I don't know why they keep doing that to us, quite frankly. 12 o'clock local server time, 16 km/h winds in a westerly direction, 23 the ambient, 38 on track, dry conditions, 70% humidity. Middle of summer over there, server time, August 26, 2026. Of course, we would normally say that, you know, that's a little bit abnormal for us to have a turnaround like that being 6 months advanced. But when you think about it, we're in the middle of summer, February 26th, and when this race was held, fast forward the clock 6 months, and that's where we are, August 26th. So summer for summer, like for like, and 12 o'clock in the afternoon local server time. Ryan Jones, Andrew Franklin, the second row, Paul Wood, Michael Adams, third, Adam Lavis, Dale Sharp, the fourth, Mark Register and Brian Levitt from row 5. From row 6, it'll be Brad Keck and Brett Bradbury. From 7, Ethan Johnson and Connor Nixon. From 8, Eduardo Zamora. Despite the fact that the last 3 did not set a qualifying time, they have all taken to the circuit. It's been the week of depleted fields, hasn't it, Adam Lavis? But still, we should have some good racing here all the same. I'm quite the fan of this circuit. It's such a shame that others haven't quite warmed to it yet. Good evening to you, or good afternoon to you, I should say. Good to have you on board. Looking forward to this one, 40 minutes after sprint racing last week.
Good afternoon, Zach. Yeah, it's a very good fun track. I enjoy it, but I struggle to get the optimal pace out of the track because it is a bit tricky, but I do still enjoy the track. It is one of those rare undulating tracks where everything sort of flows and makes you work for it. So yeah, it's just unfortunately we've got the big field tonight, but we've still got 15 guys ready to go. So we'll see if they can put on a show for us.
Indeed, looking forward to this immensely. Now, as we go this afternoon, rolling updates. MotoGP's in Thailand, practice underway there. Big weekend of motorsport, NASCAR from COTA. Looking forward to that on Sunday morning and Monday morning, Xfinity Series and Cup respectively. MotoGP, of course, Thailand, Sunday afternoon. NRL Las Vegas, SailGP Sydney, Women's One Day International Cricket, and, of course, IndyCar getting underway with the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg and the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series as well. all on Sunday and Monday, the local time, Eastern Daylight Time. And the big news out of Australian Motorsport today is that the Speed Series is going back behind a paywall with nowhere near as much whinging and moaning from the rank and file as what there was when they went to Stand Sport a couple of years ago. Surprise, surprise. Very nicely sped through the warm-up lap there by you, Adam Lavis. We're getting ready for a start here. Stephen Lawrence was brilliant last week. He leads us right Sim Racing 1-2 through the start-finish line, where we'll salute the judges, see the green flag and get this race underway. We've had 8 races so far. There are just 6 to go. For the next 3 weeks, it's 40-minute hit-outs. Next week, of course, Mount Panorama, then the Circuit of Barcelona, Catalunya. Sprint racing at Alton Park before the Nürburgring brings the curtain down on the campaign. Safety car peels off. Right Sim Racing with Ryan Jones in behind there. Ready to take the fight to them. We're off, we're racing. It's a Porsche lockout of the top 5 positions already because Michael Adams has got the jump on Paul Wood and has gone up in a 5th spot. Dale Sharp out there represents the BMWs. Adam Lavis, the best of the Mustangs in the absence of Craig Bond. Brian Levitt's got Aston Martin on the grid. The only one missing is McLaren, but it's right Sim Racing 1-2 to the first turn. Cleanly, good start, Michael Adams. Already in the mix here, trying to get by Andrew Franklin, does so. Up the outside, Franklin responds immediately and puts Adams back in his place. Ryan Jones on the assault early on, taking the fight to Jordan Malcolm. 2 blokes that, of course, are juggling real-world work commitments now and amongst their GT4 schedule, so it's good to see them both back on the grid. That's the reason why the championship leaderboard looks a little bit lopsided at the moment, because those 2 were missing in action last week. Good afternoon to you, Kurt Nommensen. Good afternoon to everybody that's tuning in. We are starting maybe an hour and a half later than we would have liked to, but my dear colleague here got caught up with a little bit of overtime in his real-world commitments, and we've had to push things back a little bit. But the good news is we'll finish about 6:30 Eastern Daylight Time, and then it'll be a tight turnaround. You'll be back here at 8:30 with Joe Baldwin and Liam Banks for Friday Night Motorsport and GTE. India are 1 for 78. Australia have claimed their first wicket. India batting first, second one day of the series, and second time in the series in which they batted first. They crumbled. They capitulated on Tuesday at the Allan Border Field, and today they're hoping to return serve on the Aussies. They are 1 for 78. The Aussies have struck. They've finally taken a wicket. They've been playing for the better part of an hour already, so it's been definitely a big, strong start for India, but there's a long way to go. Here's Ethan Johnson at the end of the first lap down on the inside and going by on Brian Levitt for 10th. Oh, hang on, dive, bomb. My goodness, he went deep under brakes, too deep in fact, had to pull it up, and Nixon's carried some speed around the outside to see off the threat. He was looking for 2 for the price of 1, has to settle for 1. Johnson in 10th. The second and only other second of 3 BMWs on the circuit in this race at the moment. Dale Sharp in 7th spot, just ahead of his teammate Adam Lavis. And Eduardo Zamora bringing up the rear of the field at the moment in 15th. Lawrence, Jones, Malcolm. That's the running order. I get the feeling that Lawrence is going to be difficult to beat this week, Adam. I mean, that result last week, a bit of a turnaround in fortunes for him. But a little bit of confidence and a little bit of momentum, psychologically, can go a very long way.
Can indeed. Yeah, definitely, as we can see last night, the Porsche was definitely OP around here compared to the rest of us. So right car, right attitude, it's always going to help you get towards the front.
I'm sure when he gets home from school, my mate from Gundagai will inform us as to why he wasn't on the grid last night. Let me actually have a look. I want to have a look at our rap sheet and just see if there's any bans in place at the moment. No suspensions in place. Marcus Watson's already served his. Round goes Brett Bradbury. He drops to the bottom of the running order. Always happens. I go and look at another screen of information and data to try and pass on to you at home, and we see an incident on the circuit. How many times over 6 years? Dale Sharp, Adam Lavis back onto the main straight, the best two placed Aussie racer entries at the moment, of course, are Paul Wood and Dale Sharp, but they're all running in three different manufacturers here, the boys. Merck for Woodsy, Sharpie in the Bimmer. Adam's had enough following him through. He pulls to the inside of the Mustang. Sharpie goes deep, too deep, wide. That should allow Adam Lavis to go through. And I wouldn't be surprised if Sharpie copped a slow down for that. Here comes Connor Nixon down the inside. 2 for the price of 1. Goodbye. Now, can Adam hold sway on the inside? You carry a lot more momentum around the outside at turn 3 and 4 than what you do on most race tracks. Oh, wow, that was close. Rubbing panels. And already an apology from Connor Nixon, so I get the feeling that something is going to hit the fan here very shortly. Nixon and also, of course, Adam Lavis. Already an immediate apology before we've even seen it. Spoiler alert for those of you tuning in at home. Thanks, Connor. Appreciate that. Let's keep an eye on this orbit drop there, chasing Aussie racers at the moment. Nixon and Lavis. And Sharpie's in there behind. Ethan Johnson's latched on. And it's a 4-way battle at the moment. Just to update you, that was in the 17th over. The 17th over that wicket fell. Nixon, oh, geez, that's tight. Hugging the ripple strips. And as you can see, the ripple strips do tend to play their part. Oh, there it is. There's the contact. Bump and rub. Lavis pointed in the wrong direction. And Connor Nixon, I dare say, might be in the naughty corner for that one. Let's see what race control have to say about that. Unlucky for Adam. He resumes down in position number 15 now, and that's how costly it can be around here in a field as small as this. Stephen Lawrence leads Ryan Jones is second, Jordan Malcolm is third, then Michael Adams, then Andrew Franklin. Paul Wood is in behind. He's looking down on the inside of Franklin as Dale Sharp is under immediate pressure from Ethan Johnson. So Nixon lost out 3 spots in all of that. Or 2 technically, because he took Adams, but he did lose out to Ethan and Dale at the same time. Ethan down the inside, defending Nixon, but Nixon able to get by Sharp at the same time. So Nixon up into 8th spot. A 10-second penalty coming Connor Nixon's way. That's fair. I'll pay that. Doesn't fix Adams' worries though, because he's 14 seconds behind at the moment, but that's okay. The books don't always balance that way. The point I was making, Adam, is we saw it on Wednesday night as well, how often you can bounce just the general momentum, the physics of running over ripple strips. It can, some of them are smooth and, you know, no impact whatsoever. Others, you bounce along, you push over to the right-hand side. There's Connor Nixon's penalty coming through. Adam Lavis, contact lap 3. The reality of the matter is, you can, unfortunately, bounce into, if you're running that closely to someone on the racetrack, you can bounce into their path. And that has resulted in multiple incidents in the past in contact. It's just an unfortunate reality of motor racing sometimes. When you want to run close for comfort, sometimes there are ramifications. That wasn't what happened to you, but it looked like at one point there it could well have been, the way you two were rubbing panels side by side.
Yeah, that wasn't too bad, the side-by-side stuff, but I think it's one of those things, like, it's good to try and do the, like, when we race close and hard, but annoyingly, it's probably the one weakness, one main weakness of iRacing's platform is with the netcode situation, and then the some of the little weird impacts it has at slow speed and light bumps. The cars just get unsettled way too easy sometimes, so it causes more incidents than it really would in a real world. But that sort of a bump in a real world probably wouldn't have spun me around, but unfortunately in iRacing it catches you out and you've got nowhere to catch it. So it'd be nice if they can give us a little bit of a more tolerance on the threshold for the lighter contacts, but other than that, we'll see how we can go.
Jordan Malcolm getting ready rather quickly, promptly, swiftly for next weekend, and listening to us whilst on the job, selling merch and of course Brown Towers, I thought there for a moment you were going to say Trump Tower, but that hasn't actually yet. It's only an idea, a seed that's been planted. There's been no tools on site yet with regards to that one. But yes, Formula One coming up very quickly next weekend, the Australian Grand Prix. Now, just with regards to that, no idea when we're going to bring you next Thursday night's action, ladies and gentlemen, because as some of you know, I'm out of action next weekend. I'm down in Canberra for the ACT karting titles. Obviously, we'd be running up against the Grand Prix if we did a Thursday replay on Friday afternoon. So at this stage, I would very much hazard a guess that we'll be bringing you the action from the Thursday night complement of next week's offering, week 7 of our season, somewhere during week 8. But check your local guides for all that relevant information. There goes Brett Bradbury, his second spin of the night. Adam Lavis has gained a spot. In comes Connor Nixon, the end of lap 5. That's a good point, actually. I only just thought of that. There will be a compulsory pit stop in this race for you, ladies and gentlemen. So Connor's completing his at the moment. Very, very difficult ride back for you, Adam Lavis, and not ideal to, I mean, obviously, well done because you said absolutely nothing, so no spoiler alerts from you as to what was coming. Connor was the one that blew the cover on that for us, but makes it difficult for you, mate, because obviously you were in championship contention, 1 point off Woodsy going into that. This will obviously have an impact on that, which is not ideal, but I guess the good thing is only 15 in the field and still 4 rounds to go, so still time to recover some ground.
Yeah, still a bit. There's a long race, but yeah, it was frustrating. Like, it's sort of like normally, most of the time in sim racing, you have a bit of a spin like that where you sort of just have a regular sort of spin, you lose like 5 to 10 seconds. But annoyingly, with the Mustang, the traction control wouldn't let me do a flick spin, so I ended up losing like 15, 20 seconds trying to get the car going the right way again. So frustrating, but we'll see if we can try and get ourselves back towards the top 10 and at least get some points for the night.
Expert comments from this side of the fence from Adam Lavis, even though we're watching him at work on the track at the moment. Ryan Jones, second. 2 seconds the deficit to Stefan Lawrence at this point. And good to see that Jordan Malcolm's watching himself back as well whilst getting ready feverishly for next weekend down there in the sporting capital of Australia at the moment. Our mayor up here, our Lord Mayor up here in Brisbane, Adrian Schrenner, last week, he didn't reply to me, unfortunately. He was crapping on about Brisbane and its lifestyle and how it's been acknowledged around the world, you know. And I said, because he made the mistake of saying, oh, we're Australia's sporting capital. I said, when did you move to Victoria? Fair dinkum. Pull the other one that plays Jingle Bells. And I also didn't miss an opportunity to remind him that the lifestyle might be a little bit better if we took on, what do you call it? Oh, that's right, daylight saving. So, again, he is all for it, but doesn't have the backbone to actually go and push it the way that we need people in prominent positions to do so. 12 minutes gone. 3/10 race distance. So past that important 25% threshold. That's why you're seeing pit stops underway. Brett Bradbury's parked up and done. Connor Nixon comes through ahead of Dale Sharp and Eduardo Zamora, who've just gone to pit lane to complete their CPS. Top 11 yet to stop. Adam Lavis, the last of those on track at the moment. We know the reasons why. And Stefan Lawrence holding steady with a 2.2 second advantage right now. Very quiet racetrack. You're watching the battle between Brian Levitt there in 9th place. Mark Register is just behind him. Brad Keck is just ahead of him. So this is the battle for 8th. Porsche 1, 2, 3, 4 and 6 at the moment. In fact, there are 7 Porsches in the race, so almost half the field. So it's a very Porsche heavy Thursday night, Friday afternoon for you on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. There's 1 Merc, 3 Bimmers, 2 Mustangs, well, that's now 1 because Brett Bradbury's parked up, and a trusty Aston Martin.
Still got brake.
Oh, sorry, 3 Mustangs, my apologies. Yes, 3 Mustangs. Sorry, I skipped over that. I knew as I was saying it, I was like, hang on, you've only got 14 there. No, there is a 15th. Yes, Brad Keck out there. So two Mustangs still in the race, and there were 3 in the service. So they were on par with BMW for entries in the server tonight. Just the Soul, Aston and Mercedes. And no McLarens tonight either.
Brad was thinking himself. Brad was very game going there. The Mustang didn't like that curb, so I'm surprised he went out there for turn 1.
Correct. Lucky to get away with it. Lucky to get away with it. Through the left-hander, Brian Levitt there in at 9th place at the moment. Register is 10th for Seaside Racing. "14 minutes gone." It's a very quiet affair so far. 1 minute 50 lap times, so what's that? 6 in every 7 minutes. 6 times 7 is 42. Sorry, no. Where am I going? No, sorry, 340. 6 and 11 minutes, I should say. 6 and 11. So 6, 12, 18. And then you're probably good for another 4 on the back of that. Because that would be 7 minutes and 20 seconds. That would get you to 40 minutes and 20 plus your splash and dash. So you should start the final lap somewhere in the... Thanks for the spoiler, Kurt. Appreciate it. And then obviously the pit stop transit. So you'd start the 22nd lap somewhere in that final minute of play. Somewhere in that 40 minute. Well, it's a minute 52 actually, so it's even it's a minute 53. So actually, the chances of getting that 22nd lap are probably slim, if we're being realistic, because I'm going off the numbers that I'm trying to muster up and draw up in my head as we go here, folks. I'm having a little bit of difficulty with it. And it's always difficult when it's only 1 minute 52 and a half, or when it's not an even 5 or 10. But yes, if you round it forward to a minute 50, the minute 50 and 2 is 340, 2 is 720, and 2 is 11. So 3 times 11 is 33. That's where you get to 18. Then 5 and a half gets you to 38 and a half, and then you've got a minute and a half on top of that. But as I say, with us not actually bang on the 1 minute 50 threshold, plus a pit lane transit, we'll be cutting it fine to get that 22nd lap in. We've got a minute and I guess we've got a minute and a half, minute and 3/4 almost to leverage on the other side. So we only have to get to the start-finish line about the 39 and 58 second mark to get that extra lap. iRacing's usually pretty good with that. Jordan Dakin, looking forward to it as well. 2 right boys on target for podium, not bad. Good to see some comments coming in. We always seem to have good comment engagement when we're on during the daylight hours. Good to have you guys with us. Paul Wood, 5th spot at the moment, flying the flag for Oz E-Races. Sharpie's already completed his pit stop. Adam, of course, got turned around by Connor Nixon. But yes, Riot Sim Racing in a bit of a sweet spot at the moment. They dominated Thursday Night Motorsport last term in the Porsche Cup. DPR got the better of them, obviously, in GT4 through Andrew Dyson. But now they're trying their hat. They're trying their hand at GT4 and doing so with flying colours. Not just through Jordan Malcolm, but now Stefan Lawrence, who's got himself some good pace and some good results on the board in the last couple of weeks. His lead is 2.6, so that is holding steady, but slowly, gradually increasing in Lawrence's favour. And Jonesy, despite the double on Wednesday night in the Legends, which was great to see, and a win in GT4, is somewhat a perennial bridesmaid this term with the amount of seconds, thirds, and even fourths that he's racked up to his name, and still ruining that win that he let slip on the final lap at Donington in SFL. Don't forget, next week, folks, AFL, NRL getting underway. The Women's Test match, Australia and India at the WACA from Friday. And the Women's Asian Cups soccer football getting underway Sunday night from 7 Eastern on Network 10. And the good news for those of you in Perth is they're going to show that on the main channel. And your news, and I wish networks would do this more often, the news has been shuffled to a secondary channel. Can we get a fuel save check at the front from? Yeah, that's a prominent, timely comment from you, Ryan Jones. Well done, mate. Nice to have you on board. Jonesy, of course, sitting there in second spot at the moment. Is there any merit? Is there the potential for fuel saving around here, Adam? I would suggest not. Paul Wood coming to pit lane right now, and I would question the argument, the point of it as well, considering that it's such a long lap around here, and you've still got to come to pit lane irrespective. I'd rather take the pace on the circuit for maybe an extra second in the box, and see where it comes out after playing a full 100% throttle bloody 40-minute stint.
It all depends on where you're at on the track. Like if you're within range of somebody you can't get past, sometimes a cheeky bit of fuel saving here and there can help you jump them in the pit lane. So it depends how close you are to the car head. Like if, for example, if Brian, he's just been passed by Register, but if he was struggling to get past and it felt like he had a little bit more pace but not quite enough to make a move, then yeah, you just have a little bit of fuel here and there and get a bit of a quicker stop and try and get the job done that way.
Indeed. Pace improvement just this season alone has been mega. Yeah, you're right, Jordan Malcolm. It hasn't gone unnoticed, has it? I mean, there are probably several drivers in the same boat who've made improvements, you know, year on year, term on term, whatever the case may be. But to be fair, some of those guys can fly under the radar and go unnoticed because they're working their way through from back of the field to midfield or midfield to top 10. Stefan's done it in a way where he's prominently front and centre fighting for podium positions and finishes. And that's the difference. And it's reward, just reward for the work that's being put in. The effort that these guys put in behind the scenes and the liaising and networking that they do with guys that have experience in this field, and I know there's a big market for driver training and you know, picking the brain of the likes of, you know, okay, use Jordan as an example, but you know, I'm thinking Corey Lazarus, I'm thinking Matty Dench, the Orbit Drop Bear stable, etc. You know the names I'm trying to grab here, just to get their insight, get a hold of some of their intel. But it's one thing to have that intel, it's another to go out there and, you know, put it to good use. Some guys have the knack to do that, some don't. Here's Stefan Lawrence in first now as Brian Levitt goes to pit lane. Run for 98, the Indians, after 21.1 overs, so they're going along at 4.63 and over there at Bellerive Oval in Hobart. Massive weekend ahead with the women's Asian Cup getting underway, Sail GP, Super Rugby, you name it. There is a lot of good sport to look forward to, and particularly good too because MotoGP, obviously Sunday afternoon, is a prime time start for the Thai Grand Prix. Just having a look at the schedule there for you to give you some intel as to what you can expect, where and when. The schedule for this weekend is an absolute beauty. Remembering that they're off to Brazil and the United States after this, so we're talking nighttime, early morning starts for us here in Australia, which aren't so friendly. So we'll make the most of the daytime ones whilst we've got them. And yes, the race start is 4 o'clock for Moto 3, 5:15 for Moto 2, and 7 p.m. for MotoGP on Sunday. So that's an absolute beauty. Straight after the New Year, switch over and watch the MotoGP. And the MotoGP sprint on Saturday night is also kicking in at 7 p.m. In the meantime, we go back to Stefan Lawrence there in position number 1. 1.6 seconds to the good. So Ryan Jones has started to chip away at that deficit, and in good time as well. But is it going to be enough? Has he given him too much of a head start? There's still 16 minutes to go here. And what tricks will Jonesy get up to when we come to pit lane? Also, a little bit of breaking news. The Indians, 2 for 98. So their second wicket has fallen. Annabelle Sutherland amongst the wickets now. Rawal's out there 51 off 77, and Harmanpreet is now at the crease with her. The Indians 2 for 98 in the 22nd over. As we go around the grounds for you on a Friday afternoon, I will get some results from MotoGP 3 practice for you a little bit later on as well, folks. A lot going on this afternoon. We'll try and stay across it as best we can. Paul Wood in 8th spot here under pressure from Connor Nixon. These two are the first on track to have stopped. Adam Lavis hasn't yet stopped, nor has Mark Register, Andrew Franklin, Michael Adams, Jordan Malcolm, Ryan Jones, Stefan Lawrence. The top 5, why would you? Why would you bother? The guys in behind that, you can understand, they're going to try for something different. Try for track position. And it's worked for Paul Wood for the moment, but remember, he doesn't necessarily need to worry about the threat of Connor Nixon because Connor is no threat. He's 10 seconds behind on corrected order. He's got a 10-second invoice coming his way. So Woodsy could let him go here, and I doubt Connor would have enough time left in the race to put a 10-second buffer between himself and Paul Wood. There's Nixon to the inside, and Woodsy just lets him go. Very cleanly done, very nicely done. If only he'd given you the same treatment, the same sort of respect, Adam Lavis, it would have been better for all concerned. But yeah, Connor at this stage, considering that he's got 9.5 seconds on Ethan Johnson, given how this race will play out, you would suspect that once the order is corrected, he's probably going to slot in somewhere between you and Mark Register on the racetrack. He's 14 seconds behind you, 20 behind Mark. He may even leapfrog you, but what he might do is lose out one of those positions on corrected order. So he's still on track for a top 10, but you're probably rubbing him out of the top 5 at this point.
Yes, I think top 5 is probably a bit of a stretch for Connor at the moment with a 10-second penalty. But I think top 10 is probably a pretty solid chance. And so I think also the interesting thing here too is I think the 10-second was actually a revisit after the race because race control initially gave him 15 seconds. So at this point, Connor thinks he's got a 15-second penalty. So he's really trying to hustle and get himself as far up the road as possible.
Yeah.
Because he thinks he's got 5 seconds more than he actually ends up with after he pleads his case.
See, the joys of doing a replay, folks, you get all the intel before the fact. That's what we like to see. So a couple of little spoiler alerts there for you, ladies and gentlemen, but nothing detrimental to your enjoyment of the coverage, I hope. Top 6 for Porsche at the moment. Connor Nixon has pitted. So too Paul Wood, Ethan Johnson, Dale Sharp, Brad Keck, Brian Levitt. We missed this. Eduardo Zamora has parked up and retired from the race. Second retirement of the afternoon and a run out at Bellerive Oval. 3 for 100 now. The bowling of Alana King and a mix-up on deck has resulted in a run out. And the Indians are now in all sorts at 3 for 100. Wowee. Disappointing there for the Indians. That's 2 quick wickets for the Australians, who are the #1 ranked one-day international team in the world. And if they can get the job done here, they'll be back in the lead of the series with 2 matches to play. The third ODI on Sunday, the Test match next week. So that's a big result for the Aussie girls brewing there at the Ninja Stadium in Hobart this afternoon. 27.5 minutes gone here, 12.5 to go. Porsche racing from Hockenheim on the other side. I was told during the week to brace for some wet weather antics around there, and I think we're still recovering from the wet weather antics of the Supercar Logitech G Pro Invitational Series around there, if I'm honest. So 27.5 minutes gone. Here, we're on our way home. The boys are about to complete lap 15, so we're on pace as far as the numbers I gave at the start of the night are concerned, I hope. The race has certainly fallen in the direction of probably, looks like you're probably only going to get another 7 laps from here, folks. So maybe 6, depending upon the pit lane transit time. That will be the determining factor. You might just scrape in a 22nd lap, but that is as far as we'll go. You've only got to start. You've only got to start that last lap before the flag flies. Before the 40 minutes elapses to get it in. We have had one instance, I think, where we did get an extra lap and we already had entered overtime, but that's one instance in 7 years of racing on the platform of GSRC.
We've seen it a couple of times. We've seen it a couple of times, but it's usually if someone manages to stretch their fuel to pit on the white flag lap and then confuses Barney.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't take much to confuse him. iRacing do a good enough of job of confusing him for himself. Brad Keck down on the inside of Dale Sharp goes through to 11th. Very nicely done. Mark registered the pit lane as well as we're watching this. I mean, Barney hasn't even got his coordinates right for the bend yet, so it doesn't take much. He's not the sharpest tool in the shed, our mate Barney. Lawrence, Jones, Malcolm, Adams, Franklin, Lavis and Nixon in the top 7 here. Nixon with that 10-second invoice to his name is only 1.3 seconds clear of Paul Wood at the moment. Register is going to come out well back in the order behind Keck and Sharp. There he is, left of screen. And he's down in 12th spot. So Connor Nixon is corrected order 8th at the moment. But there are still some pit stops to play out. Franklin's done a nice job for Ben Chicane, or Ben Chicken, depending upon which school you went to. Entropy for Michael Adams, Jordan Malcolm's right sim racing, so too Stephen Lawrence, and DPR for Ryan Jones. Lawrence to pit lane. Jones continues on. He goes to lap 17. Stephen Lawrence pits at the end of lap 16, and we've got 10 minutes to go at the Algarve International Circuit. So the top 5 are looking pretty well locked and loaded, provided that they don't slip up on pit road. That is known, that is clear. Stephen Lawrence and Andrew Franklin pit this time through. The other 3, Adams, Malcolm and Jones, go for an extra lap. So yeah, they were cruising there at one point, the Indians, but they are now 3 for 100. And the Aussie girls will be absolutely delighted with that. You can watch that match on 7/8 and Fox Cricket around Australia. As I said, an enormous weekend of sport. The Super 8 stage of the ICC T20 World Men's Cup gets to its crescendo. Semi-finals and final to follow next week. The Aussies not playing any further part in that tournament, of course, getting bundled out in the group stage. But no, it's a great weekend of sport coming up, and we're excited about it. We hope you are as well. Particularly excited about St. Pete on Monday morning for the IndyCar Series. I think that'll be an absolute belter. And Scott McLaughlin do something this year to turn around the misfortunes of last year. Andrew Franklin here under pressure from Paul Wood. That we might not have been expecting, but Paul Wood's had great pace this season for a non-Porsche entry. And Woodsy, of course, the championship leader at the moment. If you can get by Franklin here, Franklin in the Dick Johnson Racing inspired livery, going back to circa 1993, 4, 5, 6. He's right there at the moment. Under pressure from Paul Wood. Jordan Malcolm to pit lane. Ryan Jones goes on again for lap 18. Wowee. Is he about to play the trump card here? Is this, right, is this that super slippery track that kept trying to kill me? I'm not sure, if I'm perfectly honest. I'm not sure. This is the circuit that we ran an Australian Open World Nationals on. Benny Woods. Yep, okay, gotcha. It may have been so. Algarve National Circuit in Portugal, mate. Jordan Malcolm now Jordan Malcolm has been to pit road and come back out again in 8.19 seconds. Stephen Lawrence has retained his 2-second advantage on him. And Andrew Franklin is still under serious threat here from Paul Wood. Across the line we go. Connor Nixon has come out corrected 5th on the racetrack, but once all the penalties are applied, he's going to fall back to 7th. Off goes Stephen Lawrence. Off goes Jordan Malcolm. They light up the off-track alerts, but they're okay for the moment. Oh, Paul Wood. Oh, g'day Woodsy. Good to have you on board. Sorry, wrong Wood. When I saw the first letter being B, in your handle name there, I thought it might have been Benny. Good on you, mate. Thank you. But yes, this is you in action from last night, of course. Tracking in and trying to zero down and get by Andrew Franklin. To try and retain your championship lead too, it's important to note. And wide goes Franklin. Wide goes Franklin. Door open. Here we go. Paul Wood to the outside. Trying to get by. Does get by. Covers off Franklin. Franklin back down the inside. Trying to return serve immediately. The up and under. Woodsy's there. They're side by side up the hill. The roller coaster that is the Algarve International Circuit in Portimão, and Franklin gets back by. Wood tucks back in. Battle not done yet. Porsche dominating. Woodsy trying to hold his own in the Merc. Franklin goes wide. Wood goes through. Thanks for coming. Nicely done. Ryan Jones to pit lane. Now, this is the one I'm interested in. Is he, right? He's out. He's off the jacks. He's on his way. And that is an extraordinary masterclass from Ryan Jones. What the bloody hell has he managed to pull off here? Ryan Jones has trumped everybody. What the hell? 13, 12, 11 seconds to the good Ryan Jones with a little bit of craft, no doubt passed on or inspired by the team owner over there at DPR, Andrew Dyson, the defending champion. Bloody hell. That's Dyson at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve all over again. Remember when he was in that battle with Jackson Ray Harner and he come out 15, 5 seconds to the good, whatever it was? I say 15, I'm exaggerating, of course, but it may as well have been.
Well, we'll look, because I think, like, obviously some of that time is going to be whatever the incident between Stefan and Jordan was, so we'll check that out in the race highlights to see how much time I lost there. But yeah, he's done similar pit stop to Jordan, but Stefan did an 11.5 second stop, so he lost a fair bit of time overfilling the car or doing something in the pit stop, so cost himself a little bit there, but he'll learn from that and coming back next week.
Hang on, so incident between Malcolm and Lawrence. So the teammates have done themselves a mischief, have they?
I assume so. They've both gone off the track. Oh, no, they might have just gone off the track together. There's a 3 second gap between it, but they both got off the track together, so we'll have a look after race. But yeah, they're both gone off the track close to each other at the same time. So I'm not sure if they were together or just sympathy.
That would be the only thing that really makes sense. When you look at the lap times and everything else, my goodness. Ryan Jones, the leader by 12 seconds. Well, just throw the white flag, throw the towel now. He's got this done. Now, the other thing I want you to take note of there, ladies and gentlemen, is I think we're only going to get to 21. I don't think we're going to scrape in 22. It was always a hit and miss sort of chance that we would only get to, because as I explained when I was crunching the numbers there earlier, the fact that the Riot boys shunted each other, but it wasn't a 14-second loss, I wouldn't have thought so, Jonesy. That was the next point I was going to make. But I want you to also have a look at the numbers. When I was saying to you about 1 minute 52, 1 minute 53, and the carryover time that you have to take from that to apply it to the 1 minute 50 that I was basing everything off, is that you would have been, teetering either side on the brink of getting an extra lap or not. I don't think we're going to get to 22. 21 will be the start of the next lap through, and given where Jonesy was when that lap started, he's on the brink of seeing the white flag next time past the strike. Remembering that if he's not back at the strike by 38.05, that white flag flies.
So you see here, Woodsy's fallen back into the clutches of these guys who have been battling the whole time. Sorry, not Woodsy, Sharpie. And
Sharp, yep.
So the reason being is the Beamer apparently was a bit understeery, so Sharpie was a bit too hard on his rear tyres for the whole race. Now he's got none left, so he's really struggling to get the power down and keep the rear behind him. And now he's got 3 hungry guys want his spot.
Nice recovery from you, by the way. There's Mark Register down the inside of Brian Levitt. Job done. Here's Stefan Lawrence and Jordan Malcolm arguing over the same piece of real estate. Malcolm still can't find a way through. So the teammates are having at it on the final laps in Portugal. Ryan Jones sees the white flag this time by. We're not going any further than lap 21. As I said, the unknown for me in all of those calculations, and it always is, that the transit time varies depending upon the length of the pit lane, the speed you're allowed to carry along pit lanes. So didn't know any of those details. Ryan Jones sees the white flag. These boys are 14 seconds back now. So Jonesy is just cruising off into the sunset and taking the PISS. He is on his way through. to a very commanding victory, and it'll be second of the term in GT4, and he's gone from being the perennial bridesmaid to being one of several drivers with 2 race wins to their name this term in this championship.
Here's an example of how much David Stars has gone. I had to lift because he was on right.
So Lavis to the inside. Well done, mate. You've got by all those guys. Brian Levitt, Mark Register, and about to be Dale Sharp as well. Getting back to the top 10, nice recovery. Connor Nixon, for reference, is only 3.5 seconds up the road on Paul Wood and Andrew Franklin. So on corrected order, he's going to drop back to 7th. And Ryan Jones, wowee, is going to cruise to his second win in 3 weeks, his second win in as many starts, and he's really finding a sweet spot for himself here. A with the Porsche, B with DPR Racing, and 3 with these 40-minute races, because this is the second one of those that he's conquered and got the W4 in as many attempts. Last turn, checkered flag, up the roller coaster hill we go, and to see the checkered flag, DPR Racing continue to dominate in Disruptive Labs GT4, but it's Ryan Jones doing the business in turn 1 of 2026. Gets the job done in round 6 at the Algarve International Circuit. Stefan Lawrence will have to settle for 3rd. John Malcolm's got by. Lawrence with the fastest lap of the race, a 1:51.972. Geez, the pace dropped off in the end, didn't it? The boys were only doing, again, you mentioned tyre where it was felt right throughout the field. They were doing 1:51s as the fastest pace-setting numbers. Earlier in the piece, they were doing 53s and 54s towards the back end. So that 3 to 4 second drop off over the course of the race was noted. Solid racing, agreed. Good to have you on board, Joel and Hanson. That's Brian Levitt under pressure there from Mark Register, the final 2 cars in the field. 13 finishes in the end. Retirements for Eduardo Zamora and Brett Bradbury. It's a Porsche 1, 2, 3, 4. Because Michael Adams has come home in 4th place. Connor Nixon will be relegated. Andrew Franklin has been passed in the end by Paul Wood and has lost out on 5th by 0.12 of a second. Woodsy goes 5th, Franklin 6th, then Nixon, Johnson, Keck, Lavis, the top 10. Sharp, Levitt and Register make up the field. Highlights for you, and unfortunately it was a night to forget. Slipping and sliding all over the place. It's not the drift pad, unfortunately, for Brett Bradbury. Well, there you go. What a performance. Great result there for Ryan Jones. And there's the incident between Nixon and Lavis again. For all to see. A second slip, same corner I'm pretty sure, for Brett Bradbury. Same corner that tripped up Lavis and Nixon. Lavis gifted the position there on that occasion. 4 for 109 now to the Indians, so another wicket has fallen just whilst we've been wrapping up this race. 4 for 109, 25 and a half overs gone, so they might struggle to make 200 here, the Indians, both on run rate and wickets in the shed. That was Stefan Lawrence, so isolated incident. Oh no, oh no, what the hell? Malcolm left with nowhere to go. Lawrence trying to turn around and get off the black stuff and get out of the road of oncoming traffic, and he's driven straight into it. So that's what's happened to the Riot Sim Racing boys. 2 separate incidents. One of them triggered the other. Register went wide at the final stages, lost out a heap of spots. Joel and Hanson talking to Kurt Normanson about being an overtaking king. We'll find out if that's another spoiler alert for those of you tuning in at home a little bit later on. And Stefan Lawrence, in the meantime, loses out to Jordan Malcolm, has to settle for 3rd in all of that. And those boys will be licking their wounds. They'll be thinking that's one that might have slipped out of their grasp, unfortunately. And the question I have for you, Adam Lavis, is did Stefan get slapped over the wrist, whacked over the knuckles for the rejoin on that?
There's nothing on the penalty report, so given they probably didn't call it in on each other, and the race control might have been looking elsewhere at the time, so they may have stuck that one past the keeper at the moment. All
right, so there's the highlights taken care of, folks. We're here with thanks to Disruptive Labs, Waste Options, Trophy AI, merch.tgsrci.com and Flash Graphics. If you want to get involved in what we do and how we go about it, you obviously need to go to race.tgsrci.com. And if you want to get involved as a sponsor of anything we do here and have your brand on the broadcast and mentioned quite frequently, feel free to reach out to the club via that website as well. Ryan Jones, the winner, 14 seconds to the good, almost 15. What the hell? How about that for Jonesy? A second win, far more comfortable than the first. Didn't need to worry about the fuel save in the end, just had to rely on the only mistake from Stefan Lawrence all week long, tripping up his teammate Jordan Malcolm in the process. Malcolm goes second, consolation prize in the end. Michael Adams, Connor Nixon, Paul Wood, Andrew Franklin, Ethan Johnson, Brad Keck and Adam Lavis, the top 10. Championship points update for you at the end of that one, ladies and gentlemen. Woodsy retains the lead, but the margin has only ballooned out to 5 points. It was 1 going into the night. Adam, of course, losing out after that run-in with Connor Nixon, goes from 1 point behind to 11 and loses second in the points race as a result. But even though it's a Porsche-dominated serve at the moment, it's great to see an eclectic mix of manufacturers filtering through the top 10 there. 2 Bimmers, 3 Mercs, 3 Porsches, 2 Fords. Bondi not on the grid tonight, but stays 5th in the points race. 56 points covers first through 5th at the moment. Jonesy charging home with the wet sail in 6th on 192. Beaumont, who wasn't on the grid tonight, I don't think. Then Dale Sharp, Justin Keir and Eduardo Zamora make up the top 10. 145 points between 1st and 10th. So slowly but surely, that's becoming very evident, very clear that there are only maybe 4 or 5 genuine championship contenders in the mix here. Next week, I'm expecting some competitors to come out of the woodwork for Mount Panorama Bathurst. We've got a 40-minute race around there, which we're looking forward to. And you'll see that at a time to be advised on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. But that points table makes for interesting reading because there's so many different race winners in this series so far. I mean, week 1, you had Jordan Malcolm getting the job done, picking up where he left off, defending champion, of course. Lachlan Pryke, defending runner-up, of course, but he won the last race of the last term last year and got on a bit of a run there despite the dominance of Andrew Dyson. Lachlan Pryke got a race win, but we haven't seen him since. Matt Bailey got a race win, but we haven't seen him since in round 2. Week 3, Adam Lavis got a win in the feature. The first race, of course, won by Aidan Cale. And again, recurring theme here, we haven't seen him since. Week 4, Ryan Jones. Week 6, Ryan Jones. Last week, of course, we saw the double done by Stefan Lawrence. So plenty of good stuff going on there in Disruptive Labs GT4. Big thanks to all the crew at Disruptive Labs, Richo and his crew, for getting on board and supporting everything we do here on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Now, highlights currently being shown of last year's MotoGP Thai GP, so that means that practice 1 is wrapped up and practice 2 is just around the corner. I should be able to give you some results from free practice 1 for MotoGP, and I'll do that now before we take a break. The Aussies have India at 4 for 117 in the women's second one-day international, and Marco Beschecchi was the fastest in the first practice session at the Chang International Circuit in Thailand, the first round of the World Motorcycle Championship for 2026 from Fabio De Gianantonio, Jorge Martin, then of course Agura of Japan for Trackhouse in 4th, Pedro Acosta, Marc Marquez the top 6, but only 0.4 of a second covers the top 6 after that first practice session. Jack Miller, 20th, and a bit of work to do, it's fair to say. Great to see such an eclectic mix of nationalities on that grid, dominated by the Europeans, of course, but I mean, you got Topak Ratsgat-Lioglu making his World Motorcycle Championship debut, of course, dominant force in World Superbike for many years. The Turk was 21st. Miller, of course, from Australia. Brad Binder from South Africa. You've got Moreira from Brazil, which is the next stop of the World Championship. And then, of course, the usual, and Agura from Japan, the usual mix of Italians, Spaniards and Frenchmen make up the bulk of the rest of the field. The girls' cricket, 4 for 118 in the 28th over. We're going to take a break. I'm going to make another coffee. Adam Lavis and I are back with you in just a few moments. Disruptive Labs GT4 continues next week at the Mount Panorama Circuit in Bathurst, New South Wales. Then on to the Circuit of Barcelona, Catalonia, then to Alton Park, then to the Nürburgring. That Nürburgring race will start 15 minutes earlier for these guys. as they will, of course, have the 60 minutes race length feature enduro of the season to deal with on that occasion. So that's March 26th and 60 minutes, and looking forward to that. Then, of course, we get stuck into the Porsche finale, which is from the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit, and that is a super sprint on that occasion. So, on the subject, the Porsches are next. The open split will be the feature race. The AM split will be the sprint race. It's the HockenheimRing. It's appropriate. It's a home round for the German manufacturer, and we're looking forward to seeing who can conquer the best of the challenging conditions that await there in Germany. We'll take a break. Friday afternoon motorsport, and as live replay Thursday night for motorsport for you across Facebook and YouTube. We hope you're enjoying our exclusive coverage this Friday afternoon, the last one of February, therefore the last one of summer 2026. Stay with us. Friday afternoon motorsport, the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club across Facebook and YouTube. Terrific to have you company wherever you're tuning in, all around Australia or indeed the world, as we head to the Hockenheim circuit in Germany now for the latest round of the GSRC Porsche Cup. The open split coming your way very shortly. The elite split results at the end of the broadcast, but right now our focus is the AM split. In a year in which Porsche racing has exceeded expectations and risen to a whole new level of interest and participation levels, the GSRC, for the first time in club history, have had to give the Porsche Cup the same treatment as GT3 in housing 3 servers concurrently on the same night. But the discrepancy in all of that, as we welcome you back, Zach Cabe and Adam Lavis with you, is that you can set everything up exactly the same and still get a vast discrepancy in weather conditions across the 3 servers. Adam Lavis will elaborate on that for you very shortly. Jolyn Hansen and Kurt Nommensen, excited to see their race on the big screen right now. We are ready to rock and roll. Partly cloudy conditions. It's a 4.5 kilometre circuit. Those of you that were here or tuned in for the coverage of the Logitech G Pro Invitational ASRG Supercar qualifying series round are probably still recovering from the shambles that was. The mixed weather bag that they contended with on that night. And of course, we had mixed weather on Monday night in GT3 as well. So it's a mixed bag week as far as weather is concerned. But from a commentary standpoint, that always livens things up and provides some great entertainment and interest. Now, 42% humidity, 20 kilometre an hour winds. They're strong. And too many people scared of a little water. Yeah, I think you're right, Kurt. Absolutely, mate. 11 degrees, the on-track temperature, and 20 degrees, the ambient. My goodness. Germany, Hockenheim, the venue, 100 metres altitude. Zach Cabe and Adam Lavis with you. I think we've covered off all of that detail. We'll go to the point standings in just a moment. Jordan Dakin liking these delayed broadcasts. Getting to watch as a fan instead of just have to focus on the race and then catch up after the fact. The good thing is, mate, even when we are live, you can go back immediately after we're done and watch the replay. That is the good thing about our live broadcast. Also, of course, I get exactly what you're saying, and there's a nostalgic feel to what we're doing here at the moment, because once upon a time, all your motorsport broadcasts, with the odd exception of maybe Bathurst and the Australian Grand Prix and things like that, were delayed. Very little stuff came through live way back when. So to be able to sit here, there's a huge emphasis and onus on live broadcast these days, but to do it as live on a delay, there's a real novelty to that, and we hope that everybody's enjoying it all the same. Championship points for the open split coming into this round, please, Adam Lavis. There you have it. Nathan Harvey on top, 235, 234 for Kelly McLaren and Jordan Dakin, 204 for Cameron Dakin. Ben Lee Peckham 190, Rick Calling Fitzgerald 170, and Jolyn Hansen 154, Edward Rollo 148, Luke Wegener 146, and Alan McDonald 138, the top 10. Hang on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Are you kidding me? There's only 12 cars on this grid. So no wonder Kurt was saying too many people are scared of water. What the bloody hell's happened to the participation levels in the amateur? Were they all scared off by the rain, or were they scared off by Hockenheim, or both, Adam Lavis? Good afternoon once again to you.
I'm not sure. There was similar in the pro split, where the pro splitting had mid-teens as well. So everyone was a bit must have a few things on, or just had some wrinkly toes already, so they didn't want to get any more wet. So, but it's unfortunate, because Hockenheim is one of those good tracks that's basically built for a Porsche Cup car. So, a bit unfortunate they missed out. But we'll see if the guys we do have can put on some good racing, and we'll see once we cross over to the open race, which unfortunately they have a bit of weather to contend with later on.
Indeed, they do. All right. Well, at this point in time, we are very much looking forward to the race getting underway here, ladies and gentlemen. Heat 1 will be 16 minutes. Heat 2 will be 27. And obviously our lap server settings are set, for the most part anyway, Wednesday night being the exception, they are set for dry weather servers. So I'm not sure that we're going to see the full quota of laps completed here tonight. Let's have a look at how this is going to play out. Rick Cowling, Fitzgerald and Jordan Dake in the front row, Lee Peckham, Troy Mortensen the second row, Barry Punter, Cameron Dake in the third row, Tristan Koch, Joel Jansen the fourth row, then Edward Rollo and Kurt Nommensen. Row 6, Jolyn Hansen, so that's good. We've got Joel Jansen and Jolyn Hansen. There's a lot of J's in that, and Sons. or Anson's in this respect, and then Kelly McLaren make up the field. 16 km/h winds, 9 o'clock in the morning, track 19 degrees, ambient 19 degrees. We wait and see how it all plays out. This is going to be good fun. Hockenheim offers up its challenges, but the good thing about it, Adam Lavis, is it may not necessarily be the best circuit in the world for the long races, but it certainly livens things up when we go sprint racing here.
Indeed, it's a very, very fun track. Good layout. Obviously, a lot of us have nostalgia for the old track, but this one still provides some pretty good racing.
Set for a start, ladies and gentlemen. Bring it on. This will be an absolute beauty. Rick Cowling, Fitzgerald and Jordan Dakin, Lee Peckham and Troy Mortensen. It's nice to be able to feature the AM split for you. Don't get too often an opportunity to do this. Off to racing, great start, power down. Look at Nommensen up the outside, up to 8th already. Got by Edward Rollo, got by Kelly McLaren, Joel Jansen. Cameron Dakin's opted to start this one from pit lane, from 6th on the grid. That's going to impact the totem pole. Dakin joins at the back of the field. Turn 3. Jordan Dakin a good start. So Dakin's top and toe of the field right now as we make our way through. Then Lee Peckham's got by Rick Cowling Fitzgerald. Cowling has lost out 2 positions on the opening lap. By the way, girls 5 for 136 India now. Struggling in that first innings at the Blunston Arena. So far it's dry. Keep your eyes peeled for some change, potentially of the weather here. Over the course of the next 16 minutes. It says it's 9 laps. We'll wait and see if we get that far.
So that means these AM guys got the best conditions for race 1 because they've got a dry track. Whereas the open guys, we had a few puddles around, but it's mostly dry. And then the elite guys, they were still sopping wet.
And of course, we are expecting the heavens to open again for race 2. The elite split boys were reliably advised. Adam had a full wet night of racing. They'll be happy to see the back of rain after first time to contend with it at Mount Panorama this week in GT3, and then last night in the Porsche Cup. Through we go. First time, Cameron Dakin in 10th spot. Joel Hansen up into 8th. Side by side here, forceful and interesting too, because that's not normally a section of the racetrack where you'd like to go. 2 by 2, Rick Cowling Fitzgerald to pit lane.
I'm assuming
he must have jumped. Or did he take his qualifying fuel? Joel Jansen also to pit lane. So there's a couple of boys here already with an invoice. Edward Rollo's currently smiling for that one.
Oh, maybe he started on the wrong tyres. Maybe he had the...
Possibly.
I can't show tyres on the replay, unfortunately. So maybe...
So
it looks like... I'm assuming it's a jump start for Joel. But yeah, for Rick, I think he's put the wrong tyres on.
Nathan Harvey, Suave Harvey, just confirming for us that it was a drop round last night because of family commitments. And happy birthday to the aforementioned lad. Up 2 and 9. Yeah, that's an interesting one. So obviously, Cameron Dakin started the pit lane. Rick Cowling Fitzgerald's coming for a tyre change. Rick started on wets. We didn't know the qual gap. That's fair. And obviously Joel Jansen has gone through pit lane for drive-through. So a fair bit of everything going on in that opening lap. Edward Rollo currently liking the look of this because he's 17 seconds to the good in 10th place. And it's an invert top 10 for race 2. So again, only 2 competitors are going to miss out on the invert here. Ooh, Tristan Koch around the outside. Tucks back in. Kurt Nommensen having a great run at the moment, already up 5 spots. Edward Rollo was under pressure there from Joel and Hansen was also trying to get by Dakin. So there's a lot going on in this battle pack for 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th at the moment. Around we go, main straight again. And round goes Rick Cowling Fitzgerald. So don't tell me he's gone out there on the wrong tyres again, or maybe he's just lighting it up in frustration. Could be both. Could be both. Cam realised last minute he had too much fuel, tried to get in the pits to change it. He didn't make the start. He wasn't happy. I don't doubt that. I do not doubt that at all. I'd rather have too much than not enough, though, Jordan. But thanks for the intel, mate. We do appreciate it. 4 minutes into this, lap 3, 1 minute 40.192. So if it's a dry server from the outset, then we easily get home on time, ladies and gentlemen. That's not a concern. Not a concern at all. Just don't ask me to do well in the wet, says Kurt Nommensen. That's all right. We're showing the open split second race, mate, not yours. That's okay. But I'm sure you can provide us with some intel after the fact. How are the early starts going? Doing the leisure first and then going to work rather than work first, leisure second. India 5 for 143 as we go around the grounds after 33 overs. So again, they're in just a little bit of trouble there at the moment. Fast lap of the race for Nommensen is that 1 minute 40.192. In comes Joel Jansen again. Is he on the tow rope, I wonder? Might be. Dakin trying to fight back through the field. Next target, Joel and Hansen. McLaren's got Kosh within the Yokozuki Works Racing entry sights. Troy Mortensen has got Kurt Nommensen in his sights. Leader is 2 seconds to the good. Peckham has got Punter covered off for the moment by 1.3 seconds. 1:39.273 now. Jordan Dakin fastest lap of the race. How good. Alana King about to bowl the 34th over of that match between Australia and India as well, folks. So keep an eye on that. Yeah, that's exactly right, mate. Just power on through. You've just got to adopt Sean Bonici's philosophy and run on Alaskan time. He gets to do it, obviously being an Alaskan himself. But at least when he races over there, it's midnight, it's 1 a.m. So you've just got to change the body clock and, oh, no trouble, Cameron Dakin, bang, yeah, that was always going to happen. Dakin turns Hansen and then gets clouded by Rollo on the way through. Dakin's going to try and redress this potentially because Rollo's going to go around the outside. There comes Hansen through. Now Dakin gets back up to speed. That's unfortunate and could have been avoided. Poor old Edward Rollo had nowhere to go. Now he's off the road. Rollo's bowled it wide going into the stadium section. Kicking up the stones, the dirt, the gravel, the sand and everything else. Rollo's in all sorts. And Dakin's now off the road as well. But back on. Oh, it's all gone to hell very quickly here at the HockenheimRing. Yeah, just change your body clock. I had a very interesting experience with that, Kurt, because obviously when I operate for the GSRC and for most things in life, I operate on Australian Eastern Daylight Time or Australian Eastern Standard Time, depending upon the year. But that when I went over to Perth for the XL Nationals a couple of years ago, and good luck to the guys competing over there on Sunday, their season's getting underway. But the reality of the matter is that big move down the inside, Barry Punter wide. Couldn't finish the job. Loses out, went for one, loses two. The effective gain and loss there. And Kurt Nommensen is up to second. Kurt Nommensen is second at the HockenheimRing. He's gone back through. Fastest lap of the race, 1:38.759. 7/10 of a second quicker than anybody on the circuit. That is ridiculous. Punter's got back by Peckham, but this is madness. So all that started with Punter trying to get by Peckham, and he's bowled it wide. Peckham's run off the hairpin, not great, and Nommensen's got a dream run and taken two for the price of one. Nommensen now sits second. The problem they've got is, old mate Jordan Dakin's 4 seconds up the road already. In a 9-lap race, 5 gone, 4 to go, and he is too far out for my liking. Not sure they can reel him in. It's 3.7. So we'd have to take nearly a second out of him per lap and then have enough time left to execute an overtaking opportunity. So let's keep an eye on that. In the meanwhile, yes, you were a man on a mission. I can tell, obviously, feeling fresh at that time of the day before you go to work, mate. I like it. There might be something to the mantra here. But what I was saying was, when I went over to the West, it felt very weird, but I just treated my body, I just kept my body clock on Australian Eastern Daylight Time. I'd been in Sydney for 5 weeks already by that point, or New South Wales at least. and went over there and kept the clock on Eastern Daylight Time, advertised in Eastern Daylight Time, all that sort of stuff. It felt, the only thing that felt weird about that, obviously the mornings were okay, because even though I was hopping up at 5:30, 6 o'clock local time over there, 9 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time was an early start for me anyway. But what felt weird about that was having dinner at midnight. But to try and keep the body clock on Eastern Daylight Time, it worked for the week, because I was only there 5 days, not long enough to get settled in and acclimatised to a 3-hour change. So when you know you've got priorities coming up that are in different times of the day, your body doesn't always cooperate in helping you change or adjust to, you know, a new routine per se. But sometimes you can get lucky. Troy Mortensen there in 5th spot. Dakin, Nommensen, Punter, then Peckham, then Mortensen, then Kelly, then Kosh, then Hansen, then Dakin. Rollo now in 10th spot with Callie Fitzgerald as 11th. Joel Jansen sitting very lonely on pit lane in 12th and has been for the last 5 3/4 minutes. Out of business in race 1, but in a 12-car field, it'd be silly not to get out there and have a crack in race 2. So I guess, yeah, glass half empty, glass half full out of Labus. 10.5 minutes in, only 3 laps to go. Very impressed with Kurt Nommensen's drive. He's obviously gelled well with this circuit and this car. I get that. Jordan just telling us he started to ease it up a bit, then realised Kurt had started to try and crawl his way back. It was 2.5 seconds behind, so he's taken another 7/10 out of him before Jordan's woken up and thought, hang on, I'm in trouble here. And that's exactly right, mate. Sometimes you can get too complacent, too content, but there's pros and cons to that, pluses and minuses. I mean, why go at 10 tenths with drawn pistols when you don't need to? Why take the risk and potentially put yourself off the road or in the wall or anything like that? So you've consolidated, you've controlled your advantage. You haven't obviously left it long enough to put yourself in any sort of danger. Well played, I say. And Kurt, of course, saying insane pace in the drive, but not compared to Jordan's. And that's reflected by that 2.6 second advantage that Jordan still enjoys. Adam, to go back to you, even with only 11 cars on the circuit at the moment, it actually hasn't been the dullest race. There's been enough going on out there to keep it interesting, not least Nommensen's charging again another fastest lap, 138.683 that time through. He's on track for a podium. And what will be interesting is this battle for 4th, Lee Peckham and Troy Morton. It's the only real remaining battle on the circuit to sort out with 2 laps to go.
Indeed, yeah, there's still fighting ding-dong battle here. Mortensen looks like he's a little bit of pace on Peckham. I think Peckham might be a little bit too much in his mirrors and slowing himself down possibly, but it's at the moment, it looks like Mortensen's got the slight upper hand if he can get the job done.
Indeed. Dakin, Nommensen, Punter, and then Peckham, Mortensen, McLaren, Kosh, then Hansen, then Dakin, then Rollo, then Calling Fitzgerald. The top 11 at this point. Nommensen, 138.68, fastest on the race. So there's a spoiler alert when we look at the result sheet for race 2 here, folks. There's Peckham wide. Mortensen capitalises, pounces. Had been lurking and looming large, and the door opens, and he doesn't wait for a second invitation. He's played that beautifully, Troy Mortensen, into position number 4. And no idea how much small contact would give him a meatball. Yeah, iRacing's funny like that sometimes. We've seen some strange examples of that over the years. It's a wonderful platform, but it's not without its faults. White flag in the air, one more time around. Jordan Dakin on his way home. Barney's at the HockenheimRing, surely. Wait for it. 3, 2, there it is. 1 lap to go. These guys do get home and get home well in time as well, folks. We give iRacing a little bit of time back here tonight. Stay with us, of course. We're 8 minutes past 5 on the eastern seaboard, 8 minutes past 2 on the west coast, and 8 minutes past 7 in New Zealand. We'll bring you the full 27-minute affair from the second race of the open split on the other side of this. We'll go through the race highlights. We'll bring you the race 2 results and the updated championship points for the AM split before we do take a break, though. And then, of course, once we're done with the second of the races, we'll have the results from the elite split, the championship points for both the elite and open, and then wrap everything up. It is one part of a double header for us today. Joe Baldwin, who it was nice to catch up with in Discord earlier and have a chat with Trucker on the other side of the null ball before going on air here. It was very nice and long overdue. Been a while since we've had a chance to catch up, Joe and I, just because different schedules and commitments and whatever else, and me not being on Friday nights at the moment, because I'm picking up the freight on Wednesdays. It was nice to catch up with him. He will be in here with Liam Banks tonight from 8:25 Eastern Daylight Time, ready for that GTE race, which is coming up from Suzuka. Dakin, Nommensen, then Punter, Mortensen, then Peckham, McLaren, then Kosh, Hansen, then Dakin, Rollo, and Fitzgerald, the top 11. Checkered flag flies. A very comfortable win in the end for Jordan Dakin under no real threat whatsoever. Had it been an extra couple of laps, had he not woken up to the looming threat of Kurt Nommensen, who did take the fast car of the race, it could have been a completely different story. 1:38.577, a PB for Nommensen. He grabs second there, very nicely done. And third place in the end to Barry Punter. Mortensen got by Peckham late in the piece to grab fourth place. Then Peckham, McLaren in for sixth, a nice run through from 12th on the grid. Kosh, Hansen, Dakin and Rollo, the top 10. And the only finishers in this race. Cameron Dakin, a nice recovery from pit lane as well. Rick Cowan Fitzgerald off the start. As you can tell, he was struggling a bit in the early stages. That was reflected by the pit stop at the end of lap 1. Was there a jump start there for Jolin? I think there might have been.
Oh, there you go. He's already done it.
Yeah.
He's tried to reverse up, but iRacing said, no.
You can't be doing that. Sorry, mate. Oh, dear. So iRacing have thrown the book at him. Rick for the tyre change as well. So they were the 2 pit stops explained at the end of lap 1. It is such a fine line. It's the smallest trip, and that's that. Rick Cowling Fitzgerald there in 12th. That was his second spin. That was actually after he'd completed the tyre change. Edward Rollo, not a straightforward night for him. In the mix on a couple of occasions. Bang. That was the only incident that he was embroiled in. And it was of none of his own doing, really. The boys ahead of him. Contributed to that completely and utterly. Joel and Hansen getting turned around, unfortunately. And leaving Edward Rollo with nowhere to go. Dakin, in the meanwhile, clear and comfortable, 1.6 the margin in the end. Rick Cowling Fitzgerald finished 50 seconds down the road. Well off the pace. Edward Rollo was well off the pace in the end as well. The field did spread out. That battle between Mortensen and Peckham kept it lively and interesting. McLaren up 6 spots, the biggest mover. So Edward Rollo takes pole position for race number 2, and we'll bring you the results of that for you in just a moment. And that one, of course, was held over 27 minutes, but as you've already heard the boys elaborate, the rain did play its part. So let's have a look at those results as soon as Adam Lavis has them ready. Cricket, 5 for 162 at the moment in 35.3 overs. So the run rate slowing down significantly there for the Indians against the Australians. Australia will have to chase whatever the Indians can set. At the moment, the run rate 4.54 and over, 5 for 162, 14 overs to bowl for the Australians. Alana King's about to bowl the end of her 8th over. And we will then, of course, have a look at what the Australians can do with the bat a little bit later on in the evening. 1.6 after being 10th on lap 1. Pretty happy with that go. I would be Kurt if I was you. Kelly McLaren through from 5th on the grid to take the feature race win ahead of Barry Punter. Rick Cowling Fitzgerald, how tight was that? 0.1, 0.2 of a second between the top 3/10 of a second cover, first, second and third. How good. Then Tristan Kosh, Kurt Nommensen, 2 top 5 finishes for the night for Kurt. Cameron Dakin, Lee Peckham, Joel and Hansen, Troy Mortensen, Edward Rollo. Then Jordan Dakin, well down off the back of the order with that mechanical meatball flag that he mentioned there earlier, and Joel Jensen's not able to make it to the finish line. So again, 11 finishes in that race. we can tell you that the lap speed was well off in the feature there, because there's the highlights of the feature coming away now, ladies and gentlemen. The last lap that came through. So this is the last lap for those of you playing along at home. They got to lap 15, so I'm not sure if that was the scheduled race distance or not, but we got to lap 15. I think originally it was 16 or 17, was it not? But we only got to 15 because of the rain. And have a look at that. It's like the racetrack has just become a big puddle, the race line. Oh, boy. Have a look at the spray. Down the back straight we go. So this was the battle between McLaren, Cowling Fitzgerald around the outside too deep, though. That was the problem. That rubbed Rick Cowling Fitzgerald out of it, you would say, and gave McLaren the breathing room required to see off the threat and stay there. Oh, the Aussies have just taken their 6th wicket with an umpire review challenge, and Alana King's finished up with a wicket at the end of her 8th over. So it's 6 for 162 now with 14.1 overs to bowl. 15 was the scheduled distance. Thank you, Kurt Nommensen, for clarification of that. So you guys did get to go the scheduled distance, which is good to see. Barry Punter chasing down McLaren here. We're having a look at the final race. You can see the rain absolutely lashing down on the circuit. The water, I mean, there's a fair volume of that already lashed onto the racetrack, and they're not having a very fun time of trying to clear it, quite frankly. John O'Harris forgot to find a wiper button or apply a wiper button to his controls for the final race. Look at that. Great racing. Kelly McLaren held off Hunter, who held off Fitzgerald in the end. And that's the way they came home. So only 0.3 of a second. Good racing in Disruptive, in Porsche Cup AM split here on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club across Facebook and YouTube. It's all made possible thanks to Disruptive Lab, Place Options, Trophy AI, merch.GSRC.inc and Flash Graphics. The women, 6 for 163. The Indians after 36 overs. That's going around the grounds for you. Moto 3 free practice underway. Second session in Thailand as well for the opening round of the World Motorcycle Championship. And Kurt Nommensen saying he'd have been closer to Tristan in the feature if he didn't cop a penalty. Yeah, unlucky. So there you have it. That's the latest round of the Porsche AM split for you. The Open split still to come. We'll have a look at the results and what that means for the championship now, if you don't mind. If you've got them available, Adam Lavis, let's remind everybody of what's going on at home here after 6 rounds. Oh boy, 284 for Kelly McLaren, 283 for Jordan Dakin, 242 for Cameron Dakin, 235 for Nathan Harvey. The obviously explanation for his absence last night has already come through. Lee Peckham, 234, Rick Cowling Fitzgerald, 213. So 1 point covers first and second. Mixed bag of results there for Jordan Dakin have not helped that tonight. And McLaren only outscoring Dakin by 1 anyway, so they were level on points coming into the round. Dakin, Cameron that is, 42 points away. Another 7 back to Harvey, who's one ahead of Lee Peckham. So 50 points covers the top 5. That is a tight, juicy points battle going into the final 4 rounds of the season, which, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, comes here from the Adelaide Street Circuit next week. Then Miami, the International Autodrome. They're expecting a depleted field to turn up for that one, and that's a 40-minute affair. 60 minutes around the Nordschleife will be must watch. And then, of course, the Super Sprint at Phillip Island, always a favourite on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Right. There you have it. 50 points covers the top 5 in the AM split. We'll take a break. We'll take a break. We'll come back with the Open split. I'm getting them mixed up. The AM split done. The Open split ahead. The Elite split results to follow for you, ladies and gentlemen. A lot to look forward to still yet this afternoon here across Facebook and YouTube, the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Night 4 action from week 6 of Term 1 for 2026. We're only just getting started. We've got more great racing for you on the other side, and 4 big weeks to follow. This one once we wrap up tonight with GTA. Don't forget that's coming up from 8:30 as well from the Suzuka International Circuit. We'll be back on the other side with the feature from the Open split. The continuation of Friday afternoon motorsport for you on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club across Facebook and YouTube. Our replay of all the Thursday night action from week 6 of term 1 for 2026. And of course, this is the last one before all the big time sport returns front and centre, ladies and gentlemen. This time next week, Australian Formula One Grand Prix, the start of the regular season for the AFL, and of course the continuation of round 1 for the NRL with the usual serving of Friday night football, Women's Asian Cup, all that sort of stuff. There's some great big time sport on the way, and we're looking forward to it. We hope you are as well. That's the HockenheimRing in Germany. That is the scene and setting for this latest round, and as you can see, it's raining cats and dogs at the moment for the open split. We've had the AM split already. This is the open split. We'll have a look at the championship point standings coming into this round for you in just a moment. Reminding you that the circuit is a smidgen under 4.5 kilometres, and it is, a smidgen over 4.5 kilometres, and it is absolutely tipping it down at the moment. 16 degrees on track, 19 the ambient, overcast conditions as you'd expect. Have a look at how big the puddle is down at the hairpin, ladies and gentlemen, and how much the reflection is, the glare is of the buildings in the background through that puddle patch. This circuit, of course, reconfigured at the end of 2001 for the 2002 German Grand Prix. Remained part of the F1 fixture regularly until 2018, and we haven't seen it since. But thankfully, its legacy lives on in the iRacing world like so many, and we are looking forward to what this open split second race in the rain has to offer for you. Cars out there warming up at the moment. It is a 5-minute warm-up, so there's a bit of time here to kill. And we'll have a look at the championship points coming into this round to remind you of where things sit. We've got a bit of paperwork to do here, ladies and gentlemen, before we get stuck into the race proper. 2.14 for Jason Morganson, 12 points clear of John Akers, then Matt Schmidtke 178, Todd Suter 160, so it's fairly spaced out after that. Greg Heaney 153 points, then 147 for Richard King, 142 for Eduardo Zamora, 132 for Sean Benici, 123 for both Broden Friend and Tim Nicol make up the top 10, and Bobby Kamoa, three-way tie there for 9th actually at the moment. So with that in mind, the qualifying session held earlier in the day ended like this. Let's have a look at the results there to remind you of who did what to set up the grid for race 1. Those results coming away in just a moment. Luke Brooker on top, as you can see, lap times will be significantly slower than that, 1:37.838. Luke Lavoine, John Akers, Richard King, Jason Wilkinson, Adam Lavis, Paul Wood, Matt Schmidtke, Tim Nicol, Cooper Friend, the top 10, 1.1 the margin between first and 10th, but only 1/10 of a second between first and second on the front row of the grid. In fact, that top 3 remarkably tight. Get Adam Lavis' thoughts on all of this in just a moment. Let's have a look at the race 1 results, please, my friend. And remind everybody that it was a 9-lap race there, and Luke Lavoine has continued on the good pace he showed in qualifying to take the win and do so comfortably. 3.549 seconds clear of Richard King, Cooper Fram, Matt Schmidtke, John Akers and Adam Lavis, the top 6, Paul Wood, Tim Nicol, Greg Heaney, Ethan Johnson, the top 10. It's a 22-car field tonight, and we might just scroll down that leaderboard just to have a look at who rounded out the field there, please. Adam Ethan Johnson will get the invert pole position. Ignore Bradley Rudd, who didn't jump into the right server, rectified that before it was too late. Joel Jensen's, of course, you've already seen in the AM split. Justin Kahir rounded out this field, only 33 seconds covered, first and 22nd. Interesting for mine and all of that, Adam. Very similar results qualifying to race for you and also your teammate Paul Wood and Luke Lavoine as well. I'm interested to see how that chops and changes in race 2, but your overall thoughts on the new car and the HockenheimRing as a circuit to go racing on?
I mean, this is the last few weeks. The new car, I would be one of the people that would say I prefer it over the previous car. Like, obviously the pogo stick thing is annoying. That part of it is a downside. But generally, the feel of the car, the way it handles, and the way you got to drive it, it just gives you a bit more. It feels a bit more like you got to grab it, throw it around, and actually drive the car. Whereas the other one, there was you had to find that really specific technique to make it work. And some of the guys figured it out, and not everyone did. And whereas this one feels a bit more like a more race car-y feel to it. So even though I still haven't got the pace, it feels like I've got more chance at maybe getting a bit further up the grid as I get used to the car. As for the circuit, great circuit. as I said earlier, definitely suits this car. So I'd be interested to see how that goes in the slippery conditions of the rain and puddles.
Indeed, and also as well, I guess, mate. We'll get to the race in just a moment. From a driving standpoint, I don't think I've ever really had the chance to have this discussion with you, but I always found when I was racing in karts, I either wanted it to be bone dry or absolutely chucking it down with rain. I didn't want there to be any sort of uncertainty and a mixed bag. I wanted it to be plain and simple, down the middle. You either knew what you were on, or like you were either on the wets or the dries. There was no indiscrepancy in all of that. From your standpoint, how do you approach these races, these nights where there is a little bit of a challenge and a little bit of uncertainty with regards to what the weather's doing?
It's a little bit cautious to start, but I agree. Like the surprising puddles turning up out of nowhere during a race is annoying, but I don't mind when the track's drying, because I find that I'm usually one of the ones at the front that's finding the grip earlier than some others. So that part sort of suits me with the rain, but it is also car dependent too, because you've got to be pretty comfortable with the car to know where that grip maximum is to be able to maximise that condition. But we'll see how we go. Like, have a look at the radar. Don't think it's going to be dry. I don't think so. No. It's going to be drying out of this race, so that's pretty much the way it is.
And that racing line on the run to turn one, that is just a death trap waiting to happen. Have a look at how much standing water there is on the definitive race line on the run to turn one and beyond. Not just the approach, but the apex through it as well. We saw it kill a few people at McPhillamy Park the other night in the GT3 90-minute affair up there. But it'll be interesting to see who survives and who suffers tonight in the Porsche Cup. Ethan Johnson, Greg Heaney front row, Tim Nicol, Paul Wood second row, Adam Lavis, John Akers third row, Matt Schmidtke and Cooper Friend the fourth row, Richard King and Luke Alavoy in the fifth row. Sixth row is Jason Wilkinson and John Harris. Seventh row, Luke Brooker and Eduardo Zamora. Eighth row, Sean Benici, Shane Beaumont. Ninth row, Stephen Gallacher and Brad Keck. 10th row, Dale Atkins and Bobby Camo. The 11th row, Brad Coates and Justin Kahir. The server, 23 km/h winds, 1:30 in the afternoon local server time, 19 degrees the ambient. We'll get some more information up there if we can. Adam Lavis on that right-hand side, please, just for the benefit of everybody at home. About 17 degrees on track, moderately wet, 12% the rainfall at the moment, 87% humidity, and the winds are easterlies at 23 kilometres an hour. Segment away, race 2, round 6, GSRC Porsche Cup, grinder of a start from Ethan Johnson. Matt Schmidtke in trouble already, getting boxed out of it. Drops a couple of spots down to 8th. Oh, wow. Who was that? Ethan Johnson. Was it clouting the... No. Yes, it was. Clouting the witches' hats on the exit of turn 2. They run down to 3. Now through 4. They navigate that. 5 will be that sweeping left-hander, part of the back straight here. And Greg Heaney's getting pushed along from Ethan Johnson, so Heaney leads at Hockenheim. Great start, Greg Heaney. Obviously on the drier side of the circuit. Now the braking duel. Through the puddles they go. Watch the spray factor here as well. You wouldn't want to be getting out too wide of that. A lot of drivers will tend to go wide and use that runoff area. That AstroTurf, that bitumen to the left of the ripple strip out there through the exit of the hairpin. You wouldn't want to do it tonight because A, the paint, B, the ripple strip, 3, the water. It's a triple threat. Ethan Johnson, second at the moment. How good? Tim Nicol, Paul Wood into 4th and 5th at the moment. John Akers, Adam Lavis, Luke Alavoy, and then John O'Harris, Matt Schmidtke, Jason Wilkinson, Richard King. Then Eduardo Zamora and Brad Coates, the top 14. Through we go. Johnson having a nice run here. Cooper Friend down on his inside. Gets through to 2nd. And off goes Bobby Camo. Stadium section claims its first victim of the race. And have a look. Oh, geez, Paul Wood. smashing into the water across the green AstroTurf. Matt Schmidtke doing the same thing.
Yeah, so the tyres last night were really good in the wet. Just you couldn't touch the curbs or that white pit exit line, because that would be when you knew you were in the right weather. But the big puddle areas you were talking about earlier, they actually weren't too bad. So you can drive through them pretty well with these nice big Michelin wets.
Would that be something that is car dependent? Is that just one of the luxuries of the Porsche compared to, say, a GT3 or a supercar or an open wheeler?
Possibly, it's hard to tell. But yeah, it definitely felt like it had a decent amount of grip in the rain, as long as you respected the track.
Was it still a pogo stick?
A little bit. Everyone was saying even in the dry race that they didn't see it. This track, it didn't, because I think this track you don't really hit the curbs. It's a fairly smooth Formula 1 style track. So there wasn't a lot of bounces and bumps to start the pogo sticky. So no, it wasn't as noticeable last night. Unless you hit like one of those big red sausage curves on the curb apex there, then you notice it.
Yeah, copy. Oh, off goes Akers, off goes Lavis. So they've both lost a spot. Lakers lost one, you've lost a couple. Down into ninth you go. It's John Harris around the outside in 8th at the moment. They can try and clear the water as much as they like, ladies and gentlemen, but the reality is there's more being chucked down. There goes John O'Harris. He alerted us to that. He clouded Jason Wilkinson on the way through and had no control of the car in the process. He said that he wasn't looking forward to the rain. He gave us a spoiler alert. That was the incident he was talking about. Lap 2 of 15. These boys are just hanging on, trying to survive at the moment. There are 22 out there. There are 3 or 4 of them that have run into early trouble. The leader is Greg Heaney. Now it's Cooper Friend. Heaney's off. Heaney's lost 2 spots. Friend and Johnson go through. Heaney back to 3rd. John Harris in 20th position at the moment, and that's a really good start for him. But unfortunately, that damage before that incident, he had good pace on board, but that incident has unfortunately forced his hand. He's had to go to pit lane for a fast repair, 4.43 seconds, and that will trouble. Greg Heaney straight into the back of Cooper Friend, and cars scattering everywhere. Heaney off the road down there in 7th position. Lets Luke Galavoine go through, and Heaney's limping his way back to pit lane. Off goes Ethan Johnson now. Oh, it's all happening here. It's all gone to hell on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Harris had great pace. Unfortunately, the incident's tripped him up. He's had to go and get the fast repaired. But Adam, will it be enough for him to have stopped on lap 2? Taken on a bit of fuel, will he be able to get to the finish line from there? There is I did forget, I need to mention, there is a compulsory CPS in this race.
Lap 2, if he fuel saves a little bit, because I think we needed about three odd laps of fuel was what we needed for a running flat chat. So if he saves a little bit, he might be all right.
Keep your eyes peeled, ladies and gentlemen. A lot to look forward to this afternoon on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. A little bit of uncertainty, a little bit of intrigue. That's Sean Benici in 15th. Around we go. Cooper Friend under pressure from Paul Wood. And Wood's going up on the outside. So Woodsy up around the outside. Can carry it, can hold it. Yes, but wait.
You don't want to be out there. That big curb is one of the slickest ones.
Yep. He had to cede position and hold on. Now he's under pressure from Akers down on the inside. Akers goes through. Adam Lapis, his teammate, the next target. Oh, trouble. Wood into Akers. Akers gone. Goodbye. Brad Keck off at the same time, but at a different point of the racetrack. Akers off the road and done. Drops out of the top 10. Drops down in behind Greg Heaney, Stephen Gallacher, Sean Benici, and still can't get going. Akers, Atkins, Beaumont all go by. Akers resumes in 16th. 17th now as Brad Keck's gone through. That is a costly moment. We'll wait and see if Paul Wood wears any penalty for that. Whether he receives an invoice or not. Ethan Johnson leads. And he does so by 2.7 over Tim Nicol. Cooper Friend is 3rd. Adam Lavis all of a sudden finds himself in 4th, having benefited greatly from that melee. And Luke Algarve is in behind Paul Wood. Brad Coates is 7th with the fastest lap of the race, 151.288. Richard King, Matt Schmidtke and Eduardo Zamora the top 10. Down the inside, Tim Nicol. Oh, geez. Yeah. Have a look at Marcus throwing some shade. He's looking forward to returning to the grid next week and serving up some Marcus Watson entertainment on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, fresh off a spell on the sideline. There's a 5-point penalty coming the way of John O'Harris. There's also, I think he got another penalty in relation to that. Oh, jeez. For his involvement in an earlier incident. So, unfortunately, it's a double blow to him. The fact that he was, firstly, sacrificing himself, but then also had no control either. Greg Heaney redressed avoidable contact on Broden Friend, so he gets away with that. No, hang on. Do we mean Cooper Friend?
So, Cooper, his name is Cooper on the graphics, but in his iRacing name is Broden.
Okay, copy. Fair enough. I always wondered if they were the same person or whether they were twins or brothers or whatever. Cousin, I don't know.
So,
anyway, it doesn't matter.
So Greg's he didn't get away scot free. He got 2 safety points off his license.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Greg pulled over. He figured that Cooper had spun, so he was waiting for him. But he hadn't realised that Cooper had covered so fast, was already up the track. So he was there waiting for him to come past. He's redressing the rest of the field.
Yep. Costly for Greg. Sean Benici up around the outside and gets by Stephen Gallacher. Dale Atkins trying to find a way back through the field as well. His next target is Gallacher. Beaumont and Akers in behind that. Oh, trouble. Greg Heaney off the road again. So that's a second incident. It's just all gone to hell from being the early race leader. Oh, there goes Stephen Gallacher. He was too wide going into the corner. And the flick spin pivots him back into the gravel trap. Ethan Johnson, Cooper Friend, Tim Nicol, Adam Lavis, Luke Algarve, then Paul Wood, Brad Coates, Richard King, Matt Schmidtke, then Eduardo Zamora comes to pit lane. That makes up the top 10. If you're watching the cricket simultaneously, India 6 for 194 at the moment, struggling to try and push their way towards 250 in the second one-day international against the Australians. And Friend with the fastest lap of the race. That's a nice way to respond to the incident with Greg Heaney, 149.63. And Greg Heaney, Eduardo Zamora, Bobby Camo have all been to pit lane this time by making their way back out onto the racetrack. Zamora, Heaney, Camo in that order. Friend is trying to track down Ethan Johnson, who enjoys a 2.2 second advantage. At the moment, Brad Coates, oh dear, just slams into the back of Luke Algarve. And Algarve, oh dear, he's lost out big time in that one. Schmidtke, King and Wood have all gone through. And all of a sudden, Adam Lape, just by keeping your nose clean and staying out of everybody else's business, you find yourself in fourth.
Don't you see it? Just keeping it out, keeping it out. We're just minding our own business, nothing to see here.
Copy. Oh dear, I love it. And I say that with Adam having been in the server and knowing everything that goes on, and me being completely and utterly oblivious to it, ladies and gentlemen. I have not seen a thing. The only spoilers I've been getting have been from the comments section of this broadcast feed. Don't forget, you'll be able to go back and watch the replay of this if you've missed it because you've been at work or away on assignment elsewhere today, ladies and gentlemen. You'll be able to jump in and watch it any time on our YouTube channel. It'll be on the Facebook page for the next 30 days as well. Johnson, Nicol, Friend, Lavis and Coates, the top 5. Then Wood, King, Schmidtke, Algarve and Atkins, the top 10. Benici, Akers, Beaumont, Keck and Gallacher take you back to 15th. A 25-second penalty for Brad Coates. Wow, that's a serious invoice. Sean Benici to pit road. John O'Harris back on pit road as well. That's the second incident that he was talking about. So that might just be the end of his night. Here's Paul Wood in 6th spot now, chasing down Brad Coates. Under pressure from Richard King at the same time. Benici and Keck to pit lane. Complete their pit stop. They're done, and everybody now in the top 13 yet to stop, and Justin Kahir in 15th. To the outside, that's Richard King trying to find a way by Paul Wood. Johnson, Nickel, Friend, then Lavis, then Coates, then Wood, then King. I don't know.
Oh, going too fast.
Way too deep. Into the corner, there goes Paul Wood wide, and there goes Richard King through. The pressure was too much for Woodsy, and King goes through. John Harris, yes, we have missed something that potentially happened to you. We see you back on pit lane now. Adam Lavis will show the highlights at the end of the race. I'm sure we'll pick it up there. Lavis is 1.6 seconds up on Coates, but the problem is the top three have bolted. So Johnson's 6.5 seconds to the good. And I suspect he's getting himself a promotion at the end of this with a performance like that over Tim Nicol, who's 6.6 seconds down and no slouch in his own right. John Akers off the road again. Beaumont goes through. Akers back to 12th. Reese's Benici trying to get through to 15th and does so on Justin Kahir. 2x2 on the run down out of the arena section to the stadium section they go. Nicol, Friend, then Lavis, then Coates, then King, then Wood, then Schmidtke, then Alavoine, then Atkins, the top 10. And Beaumont, Akers, Gallacher, then Wilkinson, then Benici, the top 15. Kahir, Zamora, Keck, Heaney, and Camo, the top 20. And we're driving down the back straight on lap 8. Johnson, the fastest driver, race 149.365, sorry. It's over to go for the Aussies, 6 for 205, the Indians. And MotoGP free practice underway as well for you. In fact, there's only 8 minutes left of Moto3 second practice, and then, of course, MotoGP will be up. Moto2 to follow that. Big night of two-wheel free practice for those of you that have got a Foxtel KO subscription at the moment. Going to come in handy now with GT World Challenge events now part of a new deal with the Shannon Speed Series for 2026. So you'll see the Speed Series suite of events there, the 6 rounds there. You'll also see, that's of course breaking away from 7 Plus. That also includes GT World Challenge Asia, the Suzuka 1000 leg of the Intercontinental GT Challenge, which is of course what the Bathurst 12-hour runs on, the GT World Challenge America, British GT. There's a whole heap of GT3 racing and GT4 racing coming to Fox Sports this season, if you've not got the memo from Speed Cafe today. Johnson, fastest lap of the race, 149.365. No change on that. He's on lap 9. A lot of these guys still trying to finish lap 8. Everybody down to Stephen Gallacher yet to stop, as well as Justin Kahir, who's struggling in 16th at the moment. Jonathan Harris has been on pit lane for 4 minutes, so I don't think he's going to play any further part in this race. You'll see that incident later. Don't forget, folks, results from the Elite Split still to come as well. And into pit lane this time through come Dale Atkins, John Akers and Shane Beaumont. Eduardo Zamora in 18th place. It takes us back onto the main straight. Shane Beaumont to pit road, so to John Akers. Then Jonathan Harris. Oh, geez. There's a lot happening out there at this particular point because you've got these guys that have all stopped. That's Greg Heaney at the back of this battle pack. He's just gone by. Oh, wow. He just got by on Eduardo Zamora, and Justin Kahir put 2 wheels. No, it was Zamora actually that put 2 wheels in the dirt, 2 wheels in the grass. He's coming down on the outside now of Kahir and gets through. Now he goes deep on Akers. Akers back down on the inside. Akers, Zamora, Kahir, Heaney and Keck. The top 5 in this battle pack at the moment. That's 14 through 18. And into the pit lane comes the race leader, Ethan Johnson. Everybody driving with caution on the way through on lap 10 of 15. big Friday night coming up. GTE from Suzuka, of course. Looking forward to that. And in the meantime, we're, of course, watching closing stages of the Porsche Open split race from last night's sprint round at the HockenheimRing in Germany. Greg Heaney not talking about the puddles or the curbs from last night. Okay, copy that. Bad luck, son. GTE coming up tonight. Points from the elite split and updated points from the open split to follow this broadcast, of course, and then a full preview of what's coming up in week 7, which gets underway Monday night from 7:45 Eastern Daylight Time. And thanks Christ, there's only another 6 weeks of that. Adam Lavis is someone that dreads being 112 years and 1 hour behind at this time of the year.
It shows how much having clear track and no spray has helped out Ethan here at the start of the race. He's done his stop and come back out in 6th place. 7th place. So all these guys banging doors, losing time. He's pulled a big gap, done his stop, and he's effectively pulled almost a full stop on everybody.
Doing it very well as well. So Algarve, 6th spot. Ethan Johnson now displaces him. Next target, Brad Coates. Oh, jeez, Algarve. That was unlucky, and it nearly got into the side of Matt Schmidtke. There they go. How did they get away with that? Algarve, Schmidtke, and nearly Paul Wood as well. Woodsy, lucky, of course, to be far enough away from all that to have reaction time, to take the action required to stay out of trouble. But Schmidtke and Algarve nearly ended up in the weeds. There's Bobby Camo going through to 17th on the inside of Brad Keck. Greg Heaney, his next target. In comes Tim Nicol and Cooper Friend. Algarve, Schmidtke, Wood and Galich are all yet to stop. So too Lavis and Richard King and Brad Coates. Johnson's just got by Coates for 3rd. Johnson in a canter here for you on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club this Friday afternoon. And that's Eduardo Zamora rubbing panels with Greg Heaney. Oh, through the puddle goes Greg. Aren't you lucky, Greg, that we started the broadcast maybe an hour and a half later than we originally set out to, because our mate Adam Lavis got stuck at work an extra hour that he planned. And otherwise you'd be having to watch the replay in its entirety. You wouldn't have been catching the last portion of the broadcast as live as it happens. Tim Nicol there in 9th place. Wow. Who was that on the grass? Stephen Gallacher, Eduardo Zamora it was, yes. Around the outside, Zamora trying to get through. Heaney down the inside of Gallacher, the up and under. Nicely done, Greg. Can he make it work and stick? Yes, he can. Eduardo Zamora, the next target. 3 wide. Yeah, why not, gentlemen? Why not? 3 wide. Woo-hoo-hoo. Handsome stuff. John Akers, Bobby Camo, Eduardo Zamora, Greg Heaney, Stephen Gallacher. Heaney's wide. Heaney's going to lose 2 spots there. He might get Zamora back on the exit with a better run, and does so. Yep. Nicely done. And now he's on the right side of the racetrack to consolidate on the left-hander here in the braking zone in the arena section, and does so. But he's deep. He gets away with it. He looked like he was carrying far much more speed into the corner than Zamora. So if I wasn't doom scrolling on the train, I would have been watching on the train. Yeah, fair call, mate. I got stuck on that this morning. I didn't have the alarm set, and then when it did, I was just scrolling through, getting updates and information, and next minute I thought, hang on, I've got about 90 minutes here to get ready for Adam. And then I ended up having 2.5 hours, but still, I'd better be up and ready and organised. In the meantime, Luke Algarve to 9th place. Out of pit lane he comes now. That's a long stop for him, 16.96 seconds. That doesn't add up, quite frankly. So much water still stationed on the racetrack here, folks. Cooper Friend down the inside and goes to 4th. On Tindick. Nice move. King, Johnson, Schmidtke. King and Schmidtke yet to stop. Adam Lavis has been in and come back out in 6th spot. Nicely done. The Indians have lost their 7th wicket, 7 for 2, 17 through 45.5. Ash Gardner in the mix now with the 2nd wicket. And she's about to bowl the last ball of her spell. and 7 for 218 as the Indians grab a single off the last ball of the 46th over. So 4 to go there, and going well past 6 o'clock that innings, but that was to be expected, with the run chase due sometime just before 7 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. Sydney, Melbourne, Tasmanian viewers, progressive and civilised states, stand by for your local national news services at the top of the hour from the 7 network and the 9 network. Or you can stay with us here on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club and see us through to the end. Stephen Gallacher in 7/8 position. In comes Richard King and Matt Schmidtke at the end of lap 12. And we have 3 to go at the HockenheimRing. No confusion here. We will get the 15 laps. We will get the race done. Times have dropped significantly here. Through 1:49.365, Ethan Johnson, the fastest lap of the race. But last time through, the guys beyond Ethan were outside the 1:50 bracket. So he's the only one sub 150 at the moment. Again, suggesting that he might be in for a promotion at the end of this race into the pro split, which would be a well-earned promotion, quite frankly. Here's Richard King under pressure from Adam Lavis. Lavis going for 4th on corrected order on the racetrack. But it could be 3rd, quite frankly, let's be honest. If Johnson gets the promotion, then 12.5 seconds be good. He'd be hard-pressed not to. Which will liven things up for the final 4 rounds. Adelaide next week. The streets of Adelaide are calling. Then the Miami International Autodrome, then the Nürburgring, then Phillip Island. So 2 rounds on home turf in the final 4 weeks, plus a trip to the United States and to Germany. And did you see this morning, Adam Lavis, the Season 2 development update come through from iRacing? Dale Atkins with a slide there, puts himself put in a vulnerable position out of his teammate Sean Benici, and also the recovery of John Akers. Did you see that next term we're going to have the streets of St. Petersburg to play on? That's going to be fun.
I haven't looked at it yet, but yeah, it's going to be interesting. An interesting circuit. Another street circuit. It gives us a few more. Because I think Adelaide was the 4th street circuit, so now up to 5. So actually getting to a point where you have a decent amount of street circuits on your schedule.
That's right. Long Beach, of course. You know, the groundbreaking start of all of that. Then they had Chicago come through. I'm just trying to remember. Sorry? Belle Isle, of course. Yes, the streets of Detroit, Michigan. Yes, correct. And that's the other thing as well. So there's going to be a lot of work going on behind the scenes with iRacing, I would imagine. I would envisage. Eduardo Zamora around the outside. Or up the inside. Sorry. And look who's going to come through and try and clean up the pieces, but only failed to do so. That was an absolute debacle from Shane Beaumont. The seas parted for him, Moses-esque. He had the chance to go 2 for the price of 1. And ended up losing 3. He lost out to Stephen Gallacher, Brad Keck and Eduardo Zamora, because Keck and Zamora got into each other, and then Gallacher was sideways, and all hell broke loose there in the end. GTE's in the rain tonight. Okay, interesting. Thank you, Greg. Oh, no. Oh, so no, that was Adelaide he was saying. Yeah, right. Copy. Ethan Johnson, 12.25 seconds to the good. Adam Lavis still hassling. Richard King. We've got Sean Benici down on the inside. On these outside is Dale Atkins recovering up into 11th now, or John Akers, I should say, and relegating. Sorry, my apologies. That's Akers up the outside, relegating Benici to 13th, and that's putting me off, I must say. John Akers running the Right Sim Racing team name on his team listing here on our timing screen. GTE in the rain is coming to iRacing next. Yeah, copy that. Thank you, Greg. Appreciate the clarification. I only looked at the circuit update. Sorry. I thought you were talking about racing tonight. Sorry, it's throwing me off because you got John Akers there in Right Sim Racing team name, but not the traditional Right Sim Racing livery, Adam. I'm not sure what's going on there.
They've had this. They've been running this green alternate livery all season. Like half the guys are only in the Porsche Cup, I think. So the orange, traditional orange and white and black one is everywhere else. This green one seems to be something they're sort of trialling out in the Porsche Cups, and so not because they They were last season. They were experimenting with like some blues and some yellows as he finds that slippery curve.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, just if you keep the throttle in, you just go straight ahead. So he's found that out. But yeah, that's looks like
You've got to recover it.
Yeah, so it's experimenting with some alternate liveries there at the Riot Sim House.
I'll be interested to see where they're at with regards to circuit development as well, because we know that they are, as Ethan Johnson comes into the final sector of the final lap, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, and cruises to a very commanding 13-second victory here. I'll be interested to see where they're at with circuit development, because as we know, they are the main SimWorld partner, and that is and gaming platform partner of both the IndyCar Series and NASCAR nowadays. Last turn, checkered flag, and Ethan Johnson, a commanding and comfortable victory from 10th on the grid at the from 10th in race 1 to 1st on the grid in race 2 with the invert, to a victory by a crushing margin of 13.25 seconds over Cooper Friend here at the HockenheimRing in Germany, in the rain, in race 2 of round 6 of the Porsche Cup on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Cooper Friend, Tim Nicol, Richard King, Adam Lavis, then Brad Coates up 15 positions. This battle not done yet either. John Akins trying to get by Dale Atkins for a top 10 finishing position. Atkins recovering from 19th on the grid into 10th. Adam Lavis comes home 5th. Brad Coates, Matt Schmidtke, Paul Wood, Luke Ellervine and Dale Atkins the top 10. If Atkins can get through this final corner and see off the threat of John Akins recovering after that early incident that he had. Yep, very nicely done. Well played. Dale Atkins holds on for 10th. Akers Benici, Bobby Camo, Greg Heaney and Eduardo Zamora. There goes Brad Keck on the second to the last quarter. Very not dissimilar colours to what Stephen Gallacher runs. Gallacher goes through and picks up, as a result, position number 17. Brad Keck limps at home in 18th. Atkins, Akers, Benici, Camo, Heaney to 15th, or 14th rather, Zamora, Beaumont, Gallacher, Keck and Brooker, with Kahir coming home in position number 20 and Jason Wilkinson 21st. So the point that I was trying to make is we have a look at some race highlights here, and we're both ready to get out of here. We started late, finished late. I've got a phone call to return, etc., etc. So it's been good fun, and we hope you enjoyed it. But here's the highlights. So that was Ethan Johnson on the opening lap, smashing into the Witches' Hats. 10th on the grid, putting first in the running order on the grid for race 2. Shane Beaumont, this was his first moment for absolute debacle, and that was wide through the AstroTurf at the end of the first part of the back straight there. The old back straight. Oh, wow. Luke Brooker did well to avoid that, didn't he? But then, oh, geez. That just got really ugly really quickly. That was Bobby Camo. First of a couple of incidents for Bobby. No doubt would have got an invoice for the unsafe rejoin that plummeted straight into the side of the Whiskey Business entry, and I think that was Greg Heaney at the time. The replays continue for you folks. This was John O'Harris. This was the first of his incidents. Gravel. Passenger. Back onto the racetrack. Bang. Clean bowls. One of the oncoming cars, and lucky not to grab a couple more, quite frankly. Jason Wilkinson, 21st position. Bang. So there were a couple of innocent bystanders in all of that caught up, but there were a couple of other protagonists that were lucky enough to be able to get away with it. And Sean Benici confirming that it was him that got poleaxed by Bobby Camo. That was the first of the incidents for Greg Heaney running off the track. Did well to recover from that one, not so much the second one. Cooper Friend down the inside. This was him getting clean bowled by G. Heaney. And Greg, of course, would not play a part in the top of the order results at the end of the race there as a result of all of this garbage. John Akers, unfortunately, a little bit of a trip up there at the same spot. Plenty of trip-up points on this circuit. That was illustrated perfectly by our competitors, our cohort tonight. That was John Akers into Paul Wood. Paul Wood into John Akers. Let's have a look. I'll be interested to see the run sheet of penalties for that, the rap sheet, just to see who was at fault for that. Because that was one of those 50-50 ones. Let's have a look at it from the aerial shot. Let's have a look to see if Akers moves down. Oh,
yeah,
geez.
I think it was given no further action because it's sort of just turn across. I think. I'll double check this out.
Copy. Yeah, well, that's the thing. Akers has come down, but at the same time, no one's really moved deliberately, intentionally, or clearly to compromise the other competitor. It's just one of those unfortunate incidents where two competitors were going for the same patch of real estate. That was the first of the spins for Stephen Gallacher at the hairpin. With 10 laps to go, Luke Algarve was on the tail of Adam Lavis. This was him running wide at the hairpin. Actually, no, that was him getting clean bowled, I should say, at the hairpin.
That was the Brad Coates one.
From Brad Coates, of course. And that was Coates picking up 25 seconds, which I thought was a bit harsh, but anyway. 8 for 241, the Indian women at the end of the 49th over, by the way, folks. So 1 over to go there in Tasmania in that innings, but India are going to bat out the overs, which is more than they were able to manage the other day. John Harris. This was what put pay to hit. Oh, aquaplane and up and over and just evicted.
So unfortunately, my replay, because his replay, he actually ends up in the crowd.
Can we have a look at that again? Just to explain to people the matrix of iRacing. Have a look at. So this is John O'Harris. So he's aquaplaned, obviously. That's made him a complete nutter passenger. There's the puddle, and he aquaplanes from that point. So then he gets the curb. And he's drifting, but as soon as he hits the divot in the sand here, bang!
It's because there's
airborne,
a lip. There's a lip
up,
there.
Over, goodbye. Yeah, there is a little bit of a lip, isn't there?
You can just see, he just starts to bounce up. He actually ends up over the fence into that first row of the crowd.
And thank heavens on that note that it is not a real-world event. Could you imagine the calamity that would be? 8 for 241, the Indians, with 1 over to bat. Out they come. Matt Schmidtke, as we continue the replay here. Matt Schmidtke in 7th, run wide at the hairpin. That's what opened the floodgates for him, put himself under pressure. Paul Wood and also Luke Algarve. That was Algarve going through, but Algarve later had trouble as well. Jason Wilkinson, a second incident for him, this time in the stadium section. In fact, I think he ran wide there earlier in the piece as well when we had a look at the replays. To the right we go. Stephen Gallacher in 10th. And that was Luke Brooker. Just a little bit too wide on the approach to the corner. Caught the AstroTurf and then into the gravel very quickly after that. Paul Wood wide, but gathered it up all right. Didn't pay the price for that little off-track skirmish. Meanwhile, Ethan Johnson just kept on cruising to a very commanding winner. Dale Atkins down the outside. They were both wide. Atkins and Wilkinson at that point in time. Amici in behind and Akers as well. We're back to Stephen Gallacher now. This was his second incident. Down the inside, too deep in the corner. Did well to miss Brad Keck.
So he's realised
a little bit later on.
He realised he was going too deep, so he ended up throttling up to make sure he didn't hit him.
And that's fair.
To sacrifice himself.
Yeah, absolutely. This will be 9 for 241-2 for the girls, by the way. India have 5 balls to bat out to see out the 50 overs, but they're 9 for 241 with an umpire review for a caught and bowled. Oh, sorry, a caught behind, but they didn't think there was a tickle or an edge on the bat, but there was. Top edge into the gloves of the wicket keeper, and job is done. Straight up in the air and bounces. So Annabelle Sutherland unlucky not to get back-to-back wickets in consecutive balls. Now, still got 4 balls to bowl, though. Ethan Johnson, the winner, 12.9, the margin. Tim Nicol, Richard King, Adam Lavis, Brad Coates, Matt Schmidtke, Paul Wood, Luke Algarve, and Dale Atkins, the top 10. Top 20 all came home on the league lap. We didn't get 22 finishes. I think we might have got 21, if we can just flip that over. 11th for John Akers, Benici, then Cano, Heaney, Zamora. A night to forget for Heaney in the end. He was up in the front running early on in the piece. Beaumont, Gallacher, then Keck, Brooker and Kahir, the top 20. And Jason Wilkinson home, lucky not to be a lap down in the end. Now, answer this for me. Ethan Johnson, promotion or not?
Not at this stage. So he didn't really partake in qualifying that much, and his race went in the dry. It was basically on par with everybody else. There wasn't anything stand out in the dry, and unfortunately, because the elite split had the monsoonal conditions for all the splits, there was no way to compare properly. So at the moment, he'll be staying in the open until next week, and we'll see after next week whether he moves up or not.
Indeed, all right, very nicely done. The other point that we should point out here too, ladies and gentlemen, is that we've still got a bit of groundwork to cover, a bit of housekeeping to take care of before we say goodbye. But they are the results from the open split for the night for you. We'll have a look at the championship standings in just a moment. We'll remind everybody of what's coming up here as far as our race coverage is concerned. In week 10, you'll see one race from each of the splits. Next week, we're back showing yet again the amateur split and the open split from Adelaide. In week 8, it'll be the elite split from the Miami International Autodrome, and the same for the Nürburgring Enduro the week after that. And then in week 10, one race from each split for the Super Sprint finale. So looking forward to that immensely. Adelaide, Miami, Nürburgring and Phillip Island, that's what's to come. Championship points in the Porsche Cup for you on the back of that for the open split. Read like this. Jason Wilkinson's the lead. John Akers to the lead, I should say. 240 plays Jason Wilkinson, 224. Then Matt Schmidtke, 221. Richard King, 203. 182 for Greg Heaney, Broden Friend, 177. Tim Nicol, 166. So too Eduardo Zamora. Adam Lavis up 4 spots into 162. And 160 for Todd Suter. So we didn't put the mocker on you. I'm happy about that. But in the end, 16 points the advantage. 19 covers the top 3. 58 covers the top 5, 80 covers the top 10 at the moment, and only 1 point then back to Sean Benici just outside the top 10 at this point in time. 6 rounds down, 4 rounds to go in the Porsche Open Cup. Australia will be chasing 252 to win tonight. India has just finished their innings 9 to 251. These are the qualifying results from the elite split for you. Hayden Smith, Andrew Dyson, Ryan Jones, top 3 there. 145.732. The best lap there for Hayden Smith. He was 0.058 ahead of Dyson, and then back to Jonesy. In the end, 0.981 covered the top 7. Brad Ratu didn't set a time. Are you telling me there was only 10 in the server?
I think it was like...
Or is there a bit more than that?
I think it was like 12 or something. You can see they're doing 45s, and both the Opens and the Elites qualified in the high 30s, so definitely some moisture around in their qualifying session.
Problem as well for us this week, we're running up against the Porsche Invitational Series pre-qualifying that's on this week as well, so that might, I hope, explain the absence of so many. Andrew Dyson winning Heat 1 ahead of Ryan Jones, and then back to Hayden Smith 3 seconds down the road. 146.394 for Ryan Jones. Fastest lap of the race, 0.191 between the teammates, and only 3 seconds covered the top 3. So Jonesy pushed his teammate every step of the way. Jeff Adams, Alan Dawson, Rodney Gollan, Alex Barrelon, Paul Rogers, Andrew Smith and Willie Blair, the top 10. And then Andrew Dyson doubles up in race 2 ahead of Hayden Smith and Ryan Jones. Double podium for the DPR stable. Dyson continuing his dominant ways in the Porsche Cup at the moment, and Jonesy continuing a week full of podiums across the board here. He's in a purple patch at the moment, is Jonesy. It's good to see. Smith 15 seconds back. Jones another a second beyond that. He was 2.5 clear of Paul Rogers. Jeff Adams, Alan Dawson, Alex Barrelon, Willie Blair, Rodney Gollan and Andrew Smith, the top 10. What that means for the points, Andrew Dyson, yeah. I think he's missed 1 round in all of that. So when the drop rounds come into the equation next week, he's going to have a very handsome buffer up his sleeve to play with. The reality is Andrew Dyson, Hayden Smith, Ryan Jones, Alex Barrelon, Jeff Adams, Reece Keane, Marcus Watson, Willie Blair and Alan Dawson, Rodney Gollan make up the top 10. Corey Lazarus there at 11th did not race last night. 14 points covers the top two, 81 back to from Dyson back to Ryan Jones, then 6 points to Barrelon. A bit of plus and minus going on there. 171 points between first and 10th at the moment. So it's a very spaced out championship, but at least it's tight at the top. Hayden Smith and Andrew Dyson going toe-to-toe for the title. I think we're done. We do it with thanks to Disruptive Labs, Waste Options, merch.tgsrc.com, Trophy AI and Flash Graphics. This is what's coming your way on the platforms for Gentlemen Sim Racing Club across Facebook and YouTube. As far as what's left of Week 6 is concerned, and Week 7 as well. Suzuka, the venue for tonight's GTE outing. That's right, don't go away, folks. Come back in a couple of hours. Join Joe Baldwin, Liam Banks for that 8:25 Eastern Daylight Time, ready for 8:30. It's a 60-minute race there from the Suzuka International Racing Course, and we're excited about that. The boys will spin the wheel tonight to determine the car choice for tomorrow night's Mountain Men Spectacular. 32 laps around Mount Panorama. That was 8:30 Eastern Daylight Time, 200 kilometres worth of racing. That'll be good fun. Monday night, Adam Lavis and I are back with you, and looking forward to that immensely as we watch Moto2 practice continue from Borayam, the Chang International Circuit in Thailand. By the way, MotoGP not too far away. Monday night, Week 7 action gets underway. This is the important week of the term for the benefit of all and sundry, because we work out exactly where things sit because the drop rounds come into the equation. They're added to the points matrix. They're applied, and then we can start doing the arithmetic associated with that to determine who's a contender and who's not, and that will shake things up as it always does. Algarve International Circuit in Portimão, Portugal, the venue for the Super Formula Light affair. That's a 30-minute race at 7:45 Eastern Daylight Time. You will see some fuel saving going on in that field, mark my words. Then to the Nürburgring, to the Grand Prix layout. So not the Nordschleife this time around, but this is Waste Options GT3 and Split Race 1, Pro Split Race 2, the third of the sprint rounds of the season. I'm looking forward to that. Tuesday night, Downforce Legends Alton Park without Hislop, 2 sprint races, and that's 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The Willow Springs International Raceway, which is always a circuit that dishes up some great racing, no matter what category you take there. We talk about some circuits and tracks gelling well. It doesn't matter the car you take there, it always produces good racing. 9:15 Eastern Daylight Time, latest round of the GSRC Retro Formula 1 Championship. Then Mr. Yeaman and I are with you on Wednesday. I'll be coming to you from Cessnock. Oz Legends Cup getting us underway. That's Wednesday night broadcast, 7:45 Eastern Daylight Time. Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, the venue for both the Oz Legends Cup and a 40-minute race, or hit out, I should say, in the latest round of the Trophy AI Supercar Series, and that's an all-in server elite and dev. Let's hope there's a few more bums on the grid next week. Thursday night we will have a broadcast. We just don't bloody well know when, but the racing offering for those of you that are lining up to participate will be GT4 from Mount Panorama Bathurst. That will hopefully boost the numbers of GT4 back up to where they should normally be. That's 40 minutes, that's 7:45 Eastern Daylight Time. The Adelaide Street Circuit to follow for the Porsche Cup. So it's an all-Australian doubleheader next week. The racing gets underway at 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Our coverage will be the Open and the Yam Split, and that will be 9 p.m, and that is the second to last sprint round of the season. A 40-minute race in Week 8, a 60-minute race in Week 9, then the Super Sprint in Week 10. So sprint racing, the order of the equation next Thursday night again for you. Broadcast to be confirmed. I've told Adam Lavis and the crew that if someone can come in and deputise for me and commentate, happy for them to do it whilst I'm away on assignment in Canberra next weekend, which is why I can't do it on the Friday. If not, then it will be very similar to what we had for Week 2 and 3, where we double up and catch up 2 rounds in 1 week. May not necessarily be in one sitting, but certainly in 1 week. So we'll look forward to that, and we'll advise of broadcast times and details and information as soon as they come to hand. Then next Friday night, incidentally, just while we are covering off some minor details here, the 7th round of the GTE Championship, like the Supercars and the Oz Legends Cup, next week we'll be heading to the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. There's been a lot of double-ups this season already, hasn't there, where venues have been playing host to multiple championships across multiple nights in any given week, and that happens next week for the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Final thoughts from you, Adam Lavis. The rain certainly spiced things up. We expect it to do that. It's notorious for doing so. And even though the fields were a little bit depleted, the quality of the racing certainly well and truly compensated for that.
You know, there was plenty of action to cover tonight. Good times for the boys. A couple obviously, a few things that weren't on the good side of the fence, but sometimes they come part and parcel. So obviously try and minimise it, but we know they happen from time to time. But yeah, good in team racing, and nice to see. Nice to see the boys out there and get this new Porsche car a bit wet, and it seems to be not too bad in the wet. So it'll be good to see if we have any more races throughout the season, or whether we stick to the dry for the last 4 rounds of the season. But yeah, good times.
Indeed. Just to cover things off properly, I will go back and finish the point that I was making with regards to iRacing and IndyCar and NASCAR in a moment. But quickly, because I know you'll go and have some dinner and then jump into the rig yourself, your thoughts on Suzuka and GTE?
It should be okay, I think. Like, it's going to be tricky because like the old Ford hasn't got really many options for setups. So, and Suzuka is basically a technical track, so setups are key. But so we're trying to find the best thing we can find and throw it on there, and yeah, see how we go. At least the isn't too many big long straights for us to get hauled out with when the gearing runs out. But we'll see how we go.
Look at you being true and loyal to the Blue Oval. I love it. Hey, with regards to what's coming up, the thing for mine is you got that new IndyCar circuit in Markham. You got the old one in Exhibition Place, Toronto. You've obviously got NASCAR going to San Diego as well. So they didn't muck around getting the Mexico City circuit up and running as soon as NASCAR announced that they were going there last year. It was short-lived, but still, at least we've got another circuit to play with. So my interest will be in just how hard they're working behind the scenes and how much further that's going to put Pukekohe on the back burner for them with regards to getting content up and away so that the sim world schedules can align with the real world schedules as best as they possibly can going forward. Obviously, St. Pete was one of those must add circuits. That there was a bit of an emphasis placed on that, considering that they've now taken on the production of the IndyCar game, which is not just going to be IndyCar on iRacing, it's going to be IndyCar on consoles like the PlayStation 4 or 5 and the Xbox as well. So watch this space, because obviously St. Pete's on the way, but there'll be other exciting circuits coming. And don't forget, they still haven't got to the IndyCar new downtown street circuit in Detroit either. We probably lose the potential to go and get Nashville redone because they're no longer racing on the streets of Nashville. They've gone to the Nashville Super Speedway for the IndyCar finale now. But there are so many exciting circuits on the way if they're going to fulfill their commitment to those two categories by having the sim racing being the official, the iRacing being the official gaming partner of those two championships. IndyCar specifically, obviously you've seen Portland enter in the last short while, St. Pete on the way. Very exciting times. There's always something to talk about in the world of sim racing. The evolution, the growth, the addition of content. It's a great job that they do. As we say, we can sit here and be critical. There are imperfections with it. That's no secret, but at least they're doing their best to give us a real world experience with nowhere near the bank balance required to do it. Thank you to you, Adam Lavis. Appreciate that. 6 weeks down and 4 to go. These seasons are livening up quite nicely, particularly in GT4. Jonesy's hitting his straps, but the Riot Sim Racing boys will still be looking to hold sway in the end. Paul Wood, of course, still holding the championship lead. Big 4 rounds still to come. Girls cricket continues on 7, mate. The Aussies are chasing 252 for victory there. MotoGP from Thailand this weekend. An enormous amount of sport. You've got the T20 World Cup continuing, the EPL, horse racing tomorrow, Sail GP from Sydney, 5:30 Eastern Daylight Time on SBS Viceland and Fox Sports around Australia tomorrow and Sunday. A sunset spectacle in the Harbour City. That'll be well worth the price of admission. MotoGP from Thailand, NRL and English Super League from Las Vegas. The WNBL Grand Finals continue on Sunday afternoon as well at 4 o'clock. And then, of course, as I said, Monday morning it's exciting because you've got NASCAR from Coda, IndyCar from St. Pete, the third women's ODI on Sunday. It's the perfect weekend to be parking your backside on the couch and forming a groove in the seats. And that's exactly what I plan to do. On behalf of all the crew here Adam Lavis, our team, broadcast commentary and production team, responsible for bringing you all the action on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. We do it thanks to Waste Options, Trophy AI, merch.tgsrci.com, Flash Graphics, and those great people there on the bottom of your screen at Disruptive Labs. We will look forward to your company again tonight with Joe Baldwin and Liam Banks leading the way, and then of course on Monday for the commencement of week 7 and the start of our March offering here on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. 4 weeks left in the term, and some championships still firmly in the balance, and next week will only contribute to that. The other point that we should make here is that we do break at the end of March, and that encompasses the Easter break as well. So school holidays, GSRC holidays, all intertwining, which will be great news for all and sundry. And Term 2 action gets underway Monday, April 13. I mention that now because turn around once, blink twice, click your fingers, and it'll be upon us very, very quickly. Don't forget, merch.tgsrci.com is where you go for all your GSRC merch and paraphernalia. Get amongst that. Support the club that supports you. Grab your GSRC apparel and show your support for the club while you're out and about running your errands, and spread the word of who we are and what we do and why we do it. And if you want to get involved in any way, shape or form as a competitor or as a sponsor, race.tgsrci.com is where you go for all that relevant information. It is nearly 6:30 Eastern Daylight Time. That's our cue to sign off. All the action from GTE to come in a couple of hours' time. And until then, that's of course from Suzuka. Until then, on behalf of Adam Lavis and all the crew here, I'm Zach Caban bidding you a very good evening and have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you Monday. Bye for now.